spending all my nights fighting on the white hook 411, thinking I could dazzle them before the day was done. I quoted Malcolm X like a shield to hide my nasty side. Sean called me out and said I lied. And Nana said unpack. She said, Gerald, check your blind spot, please. But I said I'm cured, I have no bias. Said Gerald writes back. Any kind of fool could see you bought a thesaurus just to trick us. Gerald writes back. You can blame society, but the handcuffs don't care about your thesis. Now that I put it all together, I claimed I cured my brain 30 years ago. 30 years ago. I lived a single life, thinking I was Gandhi in the mirror, but that stone confidence just made the danger clearer. I used a $10 word like feckless peak and cudgel too to prove I was a better man than you. Gerald writes back. Any kind of fool could see there was a predator hiding in the syntax. Gerald writes back. You can shout about your pedigree, but you can't vocabulate the facts. I was loud when you came for my intellect. I wrote a manifesto to demand respect. Oh, but now the cops are knocking at the door, and I don't want to talk no more. I have no comment. My lawyer says I have no comment. Gerald falls back. Where did the big words go? Any kind of fool could see. Got nothing to say to the judge. There was a silence where your ego used to be. Gerald falls back. You argue till 2 a.m. You won't argue about the felony. I guess the thesaurus couldn't save you. I am George. I'm a good boy. My grandfather, no comment.
All right. Good afternoon, everybody. Man, what's up, Inya? Nice song choice. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I did want to, be playful. I wanted to have some fun with this. So, Gerald Dixon is a local city council member in the city of Whitehall. That's where I used to live. It was like a mile down the road from where I'm currently at. So, I wanted to have some fun with this because y'all know I like to get into the comments. Y'all know I'm like a troll demon. So, got into the comments, just like I did Jason Wilson. People didn't respond well, so I thought I would bring it before the people. So you guys get to see what I saw. And in that process, we'll get to see how Gerald Dixon got them child assault charges. So we're going to walk through it. It's just a little bit of fun, a little bit of local news, a little bit of me trying to say there are ways to spot problem people. There are ways to spot problem people and share some of that. You don't have to go to school. You don't have to get like a degree in psychology. You don't have to, honestly. A lot of this stuff is perceivable, but you have to pay attention. And it doesn't take a lot. I mean, people's words betray them, and that's what I want to show you guys today. So I know Yellow said he's going to pop in for a bit before he goes to work. Don't know how long this is going to take because I don't have a lot of video to show, but as long as you're here, I appreciate you. So I am not going to waste too much of your time. Just wanted to briefly get into this guy. Want to say about 4 years ago. About 4 years ago, I'm living in Whitehall, and this guy is running for city council. Of course, it's local politics, not taking too much of it. But our local mayor, Kim Maggart, they were doing some unscrupulous stuff. There was a housing complex they wanted to build. The night before the ballot, they pulled the zoning change off the ballot so that everybody's going to see it on the ballot. Everybody's going to vote on it thinking that they voted no because nobody really wanted it where it was. So what they did was they took it off. Everybody went to vote the next morning, next day. And then they did an emergency measure as if they needed more housing as an emergency. So they forced the legislation through, turned everybody off. People like Gerald Dixon stepped up saying he was all about transparency. He didn't want stuff like that to happen without the people. He started a Facebook page to keep everybody informed of what was going on. So I followed that Facebook page. And it was just one particular post, probably about October. Might have been mid-October. That just caught my eye because I don't spend a lot of time on Facebook. I just happen to see it. Excuse me. Because I do not spend time on Facebook. So we're going to jump right into this. So this is the post. And we'll go over it together. And this is how it all started. Whitehall Ward 1 Councilor Gerald Dixon. At tonight's council meeting, I read a statement that I put together after the inference a few weeks ago by Councilor Elmore that Councilor Morrison and I must be racist based on our voting records. I guess because we use our independent critical thinking skills, which sometimes lead us to know, which is in stark contrast to hers and others' knee-jerk sycophancy, slathering the mayor with constant praise and offering yeses at every turn. While I had something to say, as restrained as I could be, that evening, I later took the time to collect my thoughts, those which I shared tonight in this statement. Crying racism where it doesn't exist is irresponsible and a gross abuse of that accusation's weight. It is undermining to cooperative adult relations between good and decent people of all colors in our society. Its misuse is appalling, and decent people are tired of it. Thus, then, these thoughts. Ooh. Thus, then, these thoughts. That's a sentence. So that was attached to this post here. I didn't see the video, but this was attached below it. Unfair and improper, and this is more him too. So he posted himself. His post referred to himself. So unfair and improper implementation of the term racist or racism used as a tool for political gain is a corrosive and feckless indulgence. Most importantly, it undermines meritorious cries of racism where they legitimately exist. Excuse me. As well, it gives an unfair advantage to its accuser who never would have gained any justifiable ground without its use. Those flaccid gains achieved without merit or hard work through false race grievance or race baiting. It is a treacherous manipulation used to achieve undeserved power. It is a sign they have no reasonable, reliable, or sellable ideas worthy of the public's valid interest or attention. It's their attempt to conceal their inadequacies with toxic, unfounded accusations designed to rid the accuser of opposition and the frightening competition of better minds and ideas. Gerald Dixon. So that's how we started. That's how we got into the thing. I was like, okay, that's interesting. I mean, we've been, that was an interesting face. We've been around the block a few times. I never heard flaccid and feckless. Come on, thank you. Thank you. It's weird. It's weird. Okay. So what up, yo? How you feeling, bro?
I came in on flaccid.
I mean, that's how most people come in, but that's not how you leave.
Oh, you shouldn't come in flaccid. You should come
I mean,
in at full attention.
and you walk in the door full attention. You walk in the door.
You coming in flaccid, bro. You got to.
I mean, you
You,
just have to get worked up. You just have to see. So you have to see something first.
nah, nigga. Get ready. She don't have to stay ready. Good.
Nah, you walking around rock hard. Nah, we got problems.
Bricked up, nigga.
Nah, this dude Pablo, oh, around bricked up. Nah, man. Pause. 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 Yeah. So that's how we started, man. With like flaccid, feckless, flatulence. I know. Yeah, it's bad out here. So this is the post explaining why he wrote the, I guess, the manifesto. One's actually kind of citing the other. They're both him. It's weird that he's making the same claims. Now again, in neither of these two posts did he actually talk about what he was, whatever the issue is, whatever that they said he was racist for. He never addressed that. This is a lot of words to say racism, saying racism is bad. What y'all talking about? We ain't talking about
Nah,
nothing.
we ain't
You
talking
talking
about
about
nothing.
nothing? So that's a lot of, there's a whole lot of words to say, I'm not racist. There's a whole lot of words to say, that's not racist. It's a whole lot of words to say, what they called me racist for is wrong. It's a lot of words. So, give me a second. So first, in this post is where, I guess it's psychology or something. People call it like intellectualization. He's using a lot of words, the flaccid, the feculence. He's using a lot. He used corrosive and feckless indulgence, meritorious cries, flaccid gains. Like, what normal person talks like that in 2025? It doesn't happen. And it's on Facebook, of all places. So this is him performing. And that's something you have to pay attention to. When you're looking for problematic people, look for performance. Because that's a mask. The public performance is a big mask. He's trying to dazzle everybody with his expansive vocabulary to hide the fact that he does not care. Somebody accused him of racism. And instead of engaging with the thought, instead of engaging with the claim, instead of even engaging with why they would say that, like, what is the thing that you said no to that makes them think you're racist? You didn't even address that. He just throws a lot of words at the dartboard. He accuses others of treacherous manipulation to achieve undeserved power. So they're talking about power and concealing inadequacies. Like that's language. Treacherous, manipulative, undeserved. That's speaking to, are you qualified for what you have? So again, that's even an accusation in and of itself. Undeserved power. Conceal their inadequacies. Hiding. This is projection. He's the one that's concealing an inadequacy and trying to mask it with really large academic words. He's using treacherous manipulation to maintain power. He's literally describing his own psychological state and blaming everybody else instead of owning it. And even like the Freudian slip, because this is a guy that we now know has been accused of sex crimes. Talking about flaccid gains. I thought it was so weird that he would have that word in here. Flaccid. A man charged with sexual misconduct chose the word flaccid to describe his opponent's power. So that suggests a fixation on potency and dominance. His views are moral critiques as a threat. He views moral critiques as a threat to his power. And if you look at it close, you don't see a guy that's really concerned about what the public sees, his public service, his temperament or disposition. He's obsessed with his own intelligence. He's mad that people had the gall to question him and projecting his own little secret inner world on everybody else. And I thought it was so interesting when I saw it. Because I always, when I see somebody put this much verbosity to defend themselves, I think thou dost protest too much. I think thou dost protest too much. And nobody speaks like that. There is a delay over on the mobile side. The comments take longer to show in here. Okay. Yeah, that was really trying. Yeah, he wanted to sound smart. Yeah, he tried. He did his best. And to most people, that would have been enough. To most people, that would have been enough. I don't know if you got a chance to read that yellow when I had it up there. When you saw some of that, what did you think? How did it land on you? And again, that's all to somebody saying that he might, his voting record showed that he might be racist.
I mean, it definitely felt like, so when you say racist, you know what I'm saying? That's kind of where it's coming from. But yeah, he was over there typing in the Queen's English. Because I definitely heard that with your flaccid and feckless attempts to be dastardly to thee.
Man, that was crazy. That was crazy. And what I noticed he did, even though he's like, I don't know if he's registered as a Democrat, but he's not registered as a Republican. I would have had pause running for him. I mean, voting for him when I first did. Because again, he was talking about transparency when I knew there was corruption going on. Like I was living in the city of Whitehall. They did some shady stuff. And I was like, okay. He started sharing everything on Facebook. He started sharing city council meetings. He started sharing what people were doing and saying. I was like, okay, cool. He's about transparency. Shout out to Jason Wilson. Transparency. I was all about that. So in this, though, he talked about he's the independent critical thinking skills. And that kind of a trigger word for me, because not like a trigger like emotional. It was a trigger word like I've heard that before. And that was the conservatives. They always talked about being independent thinkers, being critical thinkers, independent thought, free thought. I'm like, okay, I'm not going to put too much into that. But everybody else, he's an independent thinker. Everybody else has knee-jerk sycophancy. Like sycophancy is like kind of like how people treat Trump. Like yes men, people that like will cheer you on no matter what. That's kind of like sycophancy. And he's using these really large terms just to fight off the claim of racism. And he's really talking about the tactic of saying racism as if there's no such thing as racism. Like as if there could be no claim that racism is a valid critique. Like nobody can be racist or he couldn't be racist. He doesn't even qualify it. He just says, even just saying that word disqualifies you, which to me is problematic, which means nobody could ever levity claim racism genuinely or not. It's like that. Yeah. That was problematic.
Yeah, it definitely sounds familiar. Can't quite put my finger on it, but yeah, can't quite put my finger on it. But it's definitely a way of kind of trying to, like, especially with the transparency thing. Like a lot of these people who are in like politics or even in like positions of like news people or people who fancy themselves reporters or commentary people who always want to expose the truth or bring the truth out there. They be the main ones with all the truths that need to be told.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Yeah, they're the main ones who need some truths told on them. Or if the truth was told on them, it would be just as damaging. You know what I mean? So they really only want transparency when the transparency is one way. So transparency to them is one of the mirrors at the police station.
Yep.
It's the law and order two-way mirror. That's their transparency. Don't look back at me. Just everybody look at you.
Yes.
And if it's you can't have a sycophant without a sicko. So
I like it a lot. So I mean, those are a couple of warning signs up top. Somebody is using way too much language to discuss something. What they're discussing is the claim and not what the claim is for. Like, let's say somebody's like, I think you cheating on me. And like somebody's like, I don't like the way that you shouldn't have said it the way you did, or you shouldn't have came. Like they try to turn it onto like your tone or the way, are you questioning me? Or they turn it onto that instead of the actual claim that you're making. Like, why would you think I'm cheating on you? Never addressing that. They make you a problem. That's reversal. That's part of Darvo, like psychology. The people that intellectualize and add too much high academic language to a simple problem, like racism. Like we can all discuss racism, but he's talking about flaccid and the sycophant. He's just throwing way too many words at the problem and never addresses the problem. That's a red sign. A red flag. He talked about he has independent critical thinking skills, but nobody else does. Nobody who's critical of him is using critical thinking. So he's the sole person who can see things clearly. That's a red flag. Then he talked about, well, I had something to say, as restrained as I could be. Like, as restrained as why did you have to restrain yourself? Why couldn't you engage with the thought? You're an independent critical thinker. Why can you critically think through this thing? So again, another red flag when people are talking about, well, I could have done something. I could have jumped up. I could have swung. So they're trying to put in like in parentheses or quotes, like, well, I could have got violent. I could have got angry. Why? You're an independent critical thinker. You're using all these like you said, this Elizabethan words. Flaccid, my good gentleman. But he prides himself on his control. His control. But predators often have a public persona that exudes extreme discipline to cover a life of lack of control. And then he weaponized civility. I saw this on the John Deloney thing. I was just in the comments the other day. Y'all know how I am with words. Because I know sometimes big words throw me off when used all together. Absolutely. I think they do that to confuse people. Absolutely. More Derek. Hey, what's going on? Man, we having a chat about somebody local to me. It's not wrestling today. Appreciate you stopping in. We're talking about a city councilman in my city, in Columbus. So, well, the outskirts of Columbus, Ohio. He's not a Columbus city councilman. He's a Whitehall city councilman. Funny enough, dude was sworn in the day after he was arrested. So they got him released on his own recognizance, and he was sworn in for his second term. So that is crazy. But
Mo Derek. I also say real quick, Mo Derek. We this channel is multifaceted, so we do a lot of different stuff. If you want more of the wrestling content, Shooting from the Script has its own channel.
Yeah, I'm gonna drop that in the chat in just a second.
Yeah. So make sure you subscribe over there too, because I know you were originally here for the wrestling content. Yeah. So, but stick around, man. Over here on this channel, we get into the conversation of other things too. But if you want the wrestling stuff, we gonna be over there.
All right, man. Well, appreciate you either way, more Derek, man. Coming from South Africa, if I'm not mistaken. South Africa, man. That's, man, crazy time difference, man. But much love to you, man. Much respect.
All right, I'll be right back.
All right, cool. In this thing, we're talking about some messages that this city councilman has shared on Facebook and a train of dialogue that happened in the chat. Because I be using the chat. I'm a chat troll. I'm the GOAT. Greatest of all trolls. But I don't even have to be funny. Like I don't even try to be funny. I just be like pointing out logical flaws. And it sets people off. And it exposes people because people really can't handle logic, which is crazy. But this is what we're talking about. You can pause that to read it because I had it up for a minute. But he claims accusations. I can leave it up. You don't need to see my face. He claims accusations of racism undermine cooperative adult relations between good and decent people. So good and decent people are undermined if there's a claim of racism. So good and decent people do not take claims of racism seriously. Why wouldn't a good and decent person hear a claim of racism and want to make sure there wasn't any? why would it undermine cooperation? Why would that happen? Yeah, South Africa, man. Shout out to you, man. Appreciate you. And that didn't make any sense to me either. And that's another manipulation tactic. He's tone policing. He's saying if you accuse me of something bad, you are the one killing the vibe. So he's using the concept of good and decent as a shield. Yeah, because they're good and decent. Why wouldn't a good and decent person want to make sure that everybody's safe, everybody's comfortable, everybody's heard? So because you're good and decent, you can't be criticized. That's not the way things go. I would also call that paternalistic. A lot of parents do that. In the age of trends of people cutting off their parents, a lot of people think, I'm a good parent. I'm a decent parent. Why would they cut me off? Because you're harmful. You say and do harmful things, and then you hide behind you being a good parent. Man, listen. He acted innocent because he knew he was guilty. Now, again, this was all like 8-9 weeks ago. All of this was 8-9 weeks ago. None of the news had popped off. All right, so listen. Then we're going to go to this next one. Here's the next post. This is how I responded. Like, hey, bro, I think thou doth protest too much. Instead of explaining your rationale for denying the application, because in those 2 long posts, he never talked about the denial of application. He never gave an explanation. Now, this is Mr. Transparency. He ran for city council to keep the corruption out. Mayor Kim Maggart at the time, they were doing a lot of backdoor deals. There's a lot of development, a lot of money changing hands, a lot of sudden changes and ballot things disappearing the night before the election. It was a lot of sus stuff going on. He ran on transparency. He's going to expose. He's going to shine a light. But then when somebody's like, hey, bro, some of the things your voting record looks like, it might be a little bit racist. No, that is just flaccid, good and decent, blah, blah, blah. So me, I'm one of the people like, man, when somebody puts too many words on something, I'm like, I think y'all does protest too much. Instead of explaining your rationale for the denial, which he never did in 2 posts, the post he made and the post that he attached, neither one talks about the application that he denied. He instead focuses on the use of the term racism. That looks sus. But I always admit that's circumstantial evidence at best. It just looks sus. It looks sus to me. It just looks sus to me. That's how I see it. That looks sus, man. It looks sus. So that's how I came back. It was nothing. That was just me noticing. Using that old Hamlet quote.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, yo. You see that?
Yeah, I seen it. So y'all had you and Buddy had a little interaction.
Yeah, I dropped IBs in the chat. Y'all know IBs in the chat. That's what happened with Jason Wilson. Yeah. IBs in the chat. When you respond to me, all I'm saying is just take a beat and think about what I'm saying. Just like when a person said racism. When a person said, I think you might be racist, ask why. Why do you think that? Getting defensive typically shows a problem. So I talked about his protesting too much. It's overperformance. It's defensive. If somebody's innocent, they usually can just explain the facts. Or like, especially on a denial of application, I denied it because it was stupid. I denied it because it was wasteful. I denied it because it was illegal. I denied it because we don't have the funds for it. There's any number of reasons a city council person might say no to something. Valid reasons. Does not mean anything to the claim of racism. You can just say, no, this is why I denied it. Even if I was racist, I still would have said no. It's not that hard. But he went the way he went. When somebody is guilty or insecure, they typically overperform outrage. What up, Bo? Good to see you, bro.
Bo.
Yeah. Bo Johnson. I say that the volume of the defense does not match the volume of the accusation. So I do think the dude was shouting to drown out the sound of his own demons. Again, we're going to get to, man. We're going to have a nice little long talk about this, man. It's crazy. He's also manipulating. He's deflecting. Go ahead.
No, that's his version of loud and wrong.
Yeah, strong and wrong.
Yeah, strong and wrong. Yeah, people who know they're wrong, so they just get loud, start yelling,
yep.
start throwing
the loudest
shit.
person wins the argument. Yep, that's what he was doing.
Yeah.
And that's also what a lot of conservatives started doing here in the United States. They started saying that if you use racism, you've invalidated your argument. Like racism is a real thing. It could actually be happening. And then in the same voice, they'll say that I'm the victim of racism. You calling me racism is racist. Like how? So that's what he did even in his own post. Let me go back to that real quick. Hold up, because it might have been a subsequent one. Let me see.
He tried to reverse racism. Let's go.
Yeah, and not even. It might have been like. Let me see. There was something where he said it. It might be something coming up. Okay, it's not in this one. Meritorious cries of racism. Man, he got me. That was hilarious. But it wasn't this one. But he's also in psychology. He's using misdirection, deflection, or I guess rhetoric or logic, a red herring. He's using something to throw you off the trail of what's actually happening. So instead of explaining why he denied the application, he's focusing on the term racism, which he didn't have to do. That's a choice. That's a deliberate choice. He was triggered by the word racism. It made him defensive, but it also made him stupid, which happens. You get emotional, you get stupid. But that's his tactical deceit. It was a rhetorical tactic. He needs the argument to be about a vague, hot button concept because he can't win the argument about the actual concrete administrative fact. Rather than addressing the factual reason for the denial of application, the subject, or Gerald, he was arguing semantics regarding the word racism. And you'll see that a lot in other areas of life too. So that's another red flag too. When people are doing that, that's psychological. Again, you don't have to know the psychological terms. You just have to be able to spot the behavior. When you're talking about one thing, somebody makes it about the way you said it, or one word you chose, or all of that stuff. That's manipulation. You have to be aware of it. And it's not that they may not have a valid reason to feel the way they feel. Being called a racist is a serious thing. So he could feel a way about it, but he should also still take your claims responsibly, reasonably, and seriously. Sorry, I left the chat for a couple of seconds. Oh, you good? You good, bro? But the deflection made the denial look really crazy to me. Even though he never addressed it in two different posts, he never addressed the actual denial of application. He went all in on racism. Okay, cool. But then we get here. Another lady got in the chat, which I thought this was great because it exposed something. Not that what she's saying is true. Not that what she's saying is true, but that it triggered something in him. Because wait till you see his response. I don't think you as a white man have the power to determine when something isn't racist, though. There's a nuance there that is missing because of the everyday privilege you experience. Racism is experienced at the micro and macro levels. So using this argument immediately invalidates what folks other than your race might be experiencing, that you never will. Additionally, posting this as a political argument in this forum or bringing it up when concerns about racist behaviors have been brought forward further cements that you may have some internalized unpacking you need to do as well. And I was like, good. Now, I'm not a person that believes that a white person can't see racism too. I'm not one of those people. I think everybody can see and feel racism, whether they're doing it or receiving it.
Right.
So I don't think that because he's a white man, he doesn't have the power to determine when something is or is not racist. Solely because he's white. I don't believe that. That's a racist thought to me. When you say somebody, because of their race, can or can't do something that any human should be able to do if they have the cognitive power, if they have the mental power. Mm-hmm. Once you say that, that goes into racism. You're subhuman. You don't have the mental capacity to do something. You don't have the emotional capacity to do something because of your race. I don't
specifically. Believe specifically because of your race.
Mm-hmm. Which is what she said. You as a white man, I don't think you as a white man have the power to determine. So because he's a white man, so either it's sexism or the racism or the combination of both, the intersectionality of him being a white man, she said that she doesn't think he has the power. So is she being racist? Is she being sexist? Is she being both? So there's something there. That's where I would have a disagreement with her. I don't think somebody has or doesn't have the power simply because of their race. That's a mental processing thing. So that's where I disagree with her. But I do think that racism is experienced at different levels, like she's saying.
Right.
So the way he used the argument to dismiss racism, it does dismiss people who experience racism, even if they're white.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and this was the I'm reading it again, and if she would have just cut out that first little bit, she'd have had me 100%.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because this is the first time I've heard this used in a situation where it actually made, because this usually be the type of stuff make my skin crawl.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that first part is why, but in this case, everything else after that made perfect sense.
Yep.
Because he don't understand the nuance. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
He don't understand that when people are calling you out, if people calling you out about something, you address it. Like you got to address that.
Yes, sir.
You know what I'm saying?
Everything after that first sentence, like you said, for me, is spot on. And it's a political form about Whitehall city governance. So he's not talking about the actual governance of the city. He's talking about somebody claiming he's racist. So this post is supposed to be about city transparency and governance. And he's posting about somebody calling him racist. So what she said about him. Yeah, you put your, first of all, you got this in the wrong spot. This ain't even where it's belong. This is on your personal page, cool. But this is supposed to be about city governance because you're supposed to be exposing like corruption and make sure that you're keeping them honest. This ain't that. That's what that the second paragraph is saying to me. This ain't that. And that's the concerns about racist behaviors have been brought forward. Like if you're bringing that up in this form, shows that you do have some unpacking because the claim of racism made you speak out of turn. This ain't the place for that, but you brought it up here because of your feelings, which means you still have some unpacking to do. So she's even peeping the psychology. Your mind ain't right, or you wouldn't even brought this here in the first place.
Right. Now I'm 50-50 on that. Because you said because you said some of his politics or some of the shit he be voting for has leaned towards racist. That was the claim.
That was somebody's claim, but he didn't speak to it. That's why that's problematic. He didn't speak to the denial of application, which prompted this whole thread, and he didn't speak to his voting record. He never spoke on anything that dealt with governance. He only spoke to the claim of racism.
Okay, so I can right. So if he'd have did all that and actually addressed some of the political stuff in this form, it would have made sense. But instead, he came to this form, and all you could address was
racism.
You shouldn't call me that.
Right. And if you do, it invalidates your claims, which means you could have came with a bundle of evidence. You could have came with receipts stacked to the sky. And because you said you're racist, and here's why. Once you use racist, those flaccid and feckless terms, you're meritorious. All the words, I can't even remember all the words he used, but saying your argument is automatically invalidated the moment you use that word, that's a cop-out. That's a cheat. Because what if his record does prove that?
Right.
I'll respect my even white, but if they mad, it doesn't make them racist. Yeah, being mad don't make you racist. Absolutely. Being mad don't make you racist. And being called racist and not making you mad, that's reasonable too. Being called something that you don't feel that you are, it's understandable that you would get angry, or at least offended, or annoyed. I mean, I can imagine some kind of feeling coming behind that. But address the actual claim. Did I deny the application because of racism? No, I thought it was stupid. No, I thought it was wasteful. No, I thought it wasn't filled out properly. No, it was too late past the deadline. You could give a reasonable argument. You don't even have to address the racism claim if you have a valid argument about the denial of application.
Right, because denying the application don't inherently make you racist. You know what I'm saying? That's the process.
Yeah. At all.
Now, what was the application again?
I didn't even look into the application itself because he didn't even address it. I didn't even look into the specific application because he didn't even address it.
I guess it don't really fucking matter. Yeah, at this one, it don't really fucking matter. Yeah.
It didn't matter to him in the least.
He got a terrible poker face. He got a terrible poker face.
So that's what
trying to hold it. He was trying to keep it together, and somebody was like, "You suspect?" You like, "Fuck you mean I'm suspect?" So you just gonna call me suspect? Oh, okay. Just because I'm sitting here, I'm suspect, right? Yeah. It's one of them people.
One of them things. I'm like, man, you could have addressed your voting record. You could have addressed the actual denial of application. There was no information on the actual governance piece. He put out a double post simply about people that use the word racism with all that verbosity, with all them large, grand words. I'm like, man, that sounds like some Stephen A. Smith stuff to me. And I feel the way about Stephen A. Smith. You can be a hyperverbal, but boy, man, you got to communicate something. And he wouldn't do that. So I did like some of the stuff the lady put out in talking about psychology. She talked about some of his internalized issues. There is something in psychology called standpoint epistemology. You don't need to know that term. You don't need to know psychological terms.
I was gonna take it.
It makes them flaccid and flexible. Exactly. It's crazy. No one wants to get stained with racism or any label. Labels. I know they get offensive. So people have to be able to justify what they're saying. If they're going to label you, they should be able to justify it. Then if you hear the label and you don't feel that that's you, you should be able to counter it. Well, no, this isn't that way because it is, or this wasn't what's my intent, or that was misunderstood. There's very reasonable ways to address this stuff. I'm gonna start out. We don't come back to flats and effectiveness. That was it. But in psychology, again, you don't need to know the term standpoint epistemology. The lady that was in that chat, Inanna, whatever. Let me pull up her name again. I can't remember her name.
Yeah,
that was me.
And I've been saying the best way to not get stained with something is to clean it off immediately.
I mean,
instead he just let it sit on there. So you got racism on your shirt. Somebody threw racism on you. It's on your shirt. Instead of cleaning off the racism, you get mad because somebody threw racism on you. You need to be cleaning that racism off your shirt.
Yeah.
Do that first.
Yeah.
Take the shirt off or something. You still walking around with it on. That's like somebody throw some poo on you. You just walk around with poo on your shirt.
You don't smell that?
You don't smell that? Or just going off because somebody threw poo on you. Do something about the poo, nigga. Take it off, son.
Yeah, that's facts.
So that's how you let it stain.
Yeah, and if they use the N-word around me alone, I try not to get mad or not to act up. But personally, I try not to take it personally. Yeah, that's facts. I get that.
Ooh,
and I imagine in South
different vibe. Ooh, I was gonna say, go ahead, bro.
But yeah, I would imagine in South Africa that the way racism is developed and employed, like the way people feel it in their bodies, is probably a little different than the United States. I'm not saying better or worse, but after apartheid and stuff like that, and I know the whole farmer situation when I guess land got reallocated to Black Africans. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that's going on in South Africa that I can imagine the N-word having a different context than it does in the United States. I'd be interested to find out what it's like because I only hear stuff through like the media, but I haven't heard from somebody from South Africa, man. So you know what I'm saying? That's some interesting stuff. One of the again, like I said, Inanna Leathorn, whatever. However you pronounce that name. Forgive me, Miss Lady. Forgive me. I just don't know how to pronounce that. Inanna, I'm gonna say Inanna. She's arguing that Gerald suffers from a cognitive deficit. He literally cannot see the problem because his privilege acts as a blinder. She's not calling him evil. She's calling him incapable. And that's a form of like main character syndrome, or in psychological terms, solipsism. Solipsism is the belief that if I don't feel it, it isn't real. It's also akin to like narcissism. It's like I only see myself. And she points out that this narcissism is inherent in his defense. He is centering his own comfort and definition of reality over the actual lived pain of anybody who might say the word racism or anybody that might feel it. He thinks his perspective is the default setting for the universe. Like, I'm right. I'm the arbiter of truth and right and correctness. And that's a main character energy type thing. And again, that's psychological. And that's something you got to watch out for in conversations with people that you're dealing with. Let me see. Do you think that statement has some truth to it? Which statement? What do you mean by that?
With the time man.
You,
With the
so which
time
one?
man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm just wondering what statement she was talking about though.
Yeah, I'm waiting for that too. Let's see. The one on the screen. I mean, there were multiple statements in here. So there's multiple statements. And the very first statement we disagree with. Me and Yellow both disagree with the first one. I don't
Yeah.
think you as a white man have the power to determine when something isn't racist though. Every statement after that, me and Yellow both agree with. But there are multiple statements in here. So I'm not sure which. That's why we asked you which one.
She might be a
Yeah,
little,
okay.
a
The
little
first one.
behind. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, if you're behind, yeah, that one. The first one, no, that's not true. That's actually a racist statement in and of itself. Should I take it personally? I don't think we should take too many things that other people say personally if they're
Yeah,
not in a personal relationship with us.
yeah, for real. Good
Yeah,
shit. It was a great way to say that shit. Yeah.
yeah,
If you ain't got a personal attachment to them, and that don't
yeah,
mean like I just work at the same place or we go to the same
yeah,
school.
yeah. If you work at the same place or go to the same school, take it professionally. But if they're in your personal life, take it personally. But taking it personally doesn't mean taking it offensively. Taking it personally means you'll personally consider their role in your life, their ability to observe and reflect how you interact. Like that's what I mean by taking it personally. But taking it personally means taking it seriously. And you matter to me, so I'm going to take what you say seriously. Yeah, everyone can experience a form of racism, absolutely, including white people. I know people don't believe that, but right here, she is having a racist comment. Because you are white, you don't have the ability to determine whether something is or isn't racist. So simply because of your skin color, you can't determine. And that's to me, that's racist. That's saying somebody that's a human that should have the faculties and ability to observe and has ability to, I'm gonna use one of his words, cognate. I'm gonna use a big word, cognate. You have the ability to think, you have the ability to reason, and you have the ability to speak. You should be able to say what is or isn't racist because you're a human with the ability to reason and think. And to say because of your skin color, you don't have the ability to think or reason, that's problematic. Now, if she had said, because you're a white man, which is what the rest of this is, because you're a white man, you may have some biases that prevent you from seeing everything about this subject, absolutely fine. But the way she worded it is racist. Because she's saying simply because of his skin color, he can't do something. And that's problematic. But that's the only thing in this, her post, which is off. Everything else is spot on. Because it is possible, because of your race, that you have some biases. And if you respond the way he responded, you might have some internalized unpacking you need to do, like she said at the end.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of sounds like gatekeeping in a way, which is strange because why do people want to gatekeep racism? Yeah, it's weird. But I will say, and this is one thing, Yella, Mr. Meaningless and Distractive, he hates that black people try to gatekeep racism.
Right.
Like we're the only people that could be victims.
I mean, and we even try to gatekeep it to the point when we know people who have experienced racism, document racism, we still try to make ours worse than theirs.
Mm-hmm. White supremacy.
Like we have to be the worst of the worst. We have to have had it the worst. All the way up to the point to where we've had to have it so bad because we're ordained by greatness to have it this bad.
Mm.
Because we getting hated on. Because we so great. Which is why even people who experience racism shouldn't be the ones to determine what's racist or not. Because you are seeing it from like Rashawn just said, you might have your own biases on the fact.
Yep. Because it's true. You can start to see racism everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
You as a person who, if once you start seeing yourself as a victim of racism, you can start to see it in everything. I can relate this. This goes to anything. Religion. you have people who say that they're Christian running the country, the United States of America, running the country, but they'll also say that there's religious persecution against Christians in the United States of America when the people in power are Christian. How are you being persecuted when you have the power of persecution? It doesn't make any sense. You'll see people say misogyny. I was watching a video. Somebody just sent me a comment too. There's a lady, Sydney Sweeney. She did some ads and stuff that people weren't happy about. Then she did some movies. But one of the things she did, in this video, the guy played a video where there was an advertisement for headphones, noise canceling. And there was a woman barking in the guy's ear. He turned on his noise canceling. So everybody was like, misogyny, misogyny. Because you feel like a victim, you automatically jump to misogyny. It didn't have to be a woman. It could have been anything noisy and it would have been fine. It could have even been a woman muting the guy barking about something or him listening to the football game. It could have been anything. But simply because it was a woman being criticized for being too vocal, and somebody not wanting to hear what they had to say, it became misogyny. So there is that part of identity politics. When people take on victimhood, everything looks like an offense. And everything's not. You have to look at the spirit of it. What are they trying to convey? Because the lady was actually, if a guy was yelling this at a woman, the same way the woman in this ad was yelling at the man, they would have called it verbal abuse. So for somebody to use active noise canceling in an ad when they're getting verbally abused, it actually kind of makes sense. Somebody's being really loud in my ear. I'm going to turn the volume down in a way I can control. That's a fine message in any other context, but because it was a woman doing the yelling, it became victimhood. It became misogyny because a guy didn't want to hear what she had to say. But she's yelling in his ear. She's like leaning towards his ear and being very loud and demonstrative. Who wants to hear that? Nobody. Nobody wants to get yelled in their ear. It doesn't make any sense. So yeah, that's the thing. That's my thing with that. Everybody can do that. Everybody can fall into that victim energy. What they say, when you're a hammer, everything looks like a nail. When you're a victim, everybody looks like a villain. So, shout out to Yellow with the victim villain. Was it the victim villain? The victim villain edit? What do you call it?
No, the victim.
Not a hero victim.
The hero victim. Yeah.
Yeah.
Either way. Never the villain, though. They never the villain.
Never.
Or if they're the villain, it's only because they've been prompted by all the bad things that everybody's done to them.
Mm-hmm. Right. I had to respond. My feminism is a response to the patriarchy. So right. What I do against men is justified because of the centuries of oppression of women. So it's like
you can see that's how it is about how they write villains nowadays.
Yeah. Everybody's sympathetic.
Yeah. They want every villain to be sympathetic.
Yeah.
The nuance in that is that no matter how bad they got treated, they decided to do the same thing to other people. Mm-hmm. We just seen that with Shorty and her, just talking about her cat.
Yeah,
she couldn't grasp the fact that her cat was traumatized. She talking about my cat just like me, so you abusive too, huh?
Right.
So you lash out when you're unsure then too.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. That's definitely a weird thing. Also, you was talking about that identity politics and like wanting to needing to be that. So I'm not going to say what the scenario is, but it was a scenario that I was reading about online, and in the comments, the person used the word "us." In terms of why the content creator shouldn't have said what they said. Okay. And my response was, who the hell is us? This story ain't about you too. Stop feeling the need to be the victim in something that don't involve you directly.
Who is us?
So yeah, so you sitting there talking about this person can't have an opinion about this person because of what that does to us. So you'll just defend any type of bullshit because of the visual representation, because of the visual representation of the person doing the bullshit. That's why everybody get it. That's why a lot of folks get away with shit and folks be capping for it. Because all they got to do is go to the get to home base. 1, 2, 3. I got my free. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, wasn't you. Yeah, so man, back to Inanna real quick, man. You got to tell me what that is off studio. But back to Inanna, bringing up psychology again, just pointing out the psychology of problematic people. Like even she was able to peep his card and was like, "You have some internalized unpacking you need to do as well." Now, there's multiple people now telling you might have when multiple people start telling you may have some things to look at. You may just want to take a look. Like, don't resist it. When multiple people, they're not attacking you. They're just saying, "Hey, we're noticing something. Take a look at it." One person said, "You're racist." Another person said, "You may have some internalized impact." One person said, "I think you're protesting too much." You take some of the feedback. Take some of the feedback being offered to you and just examine it. They may all be wrong, but take a look at it. But they call it one of the things they talk about is projection in psychology. And by obsessively posting his political arguments to defend himself against claims of racism, he is inadvertently revealing that the accusation struck a nerve. A secure person can listen, but an insecure person is going to with internalized bias is going to launch a PR campaign to convince themselves that they are good, to convince other people, like, I'm fine, everything's fine. They're lying, they're bad people, because good and decent people wouldn't say stuff like this. So she's telling him, like, we see you, bro. Even if you don't see yourself, we see you. Then, like, going back to standpoint theory for a quick second, when she said, "I don't think you as a white man have the power to determine when something isn't racist." Now, we know that she's inferring because of biases that the privilege may carry, but that sentence by itself is a racist statement, speaking to the capacity simply because you're white. But I know she's speaking about the biases that come from privilege, which is a true thing. We talked about that. That's, again, standpoint theory. And again, you don't need to know the terminology. You just need to recognize when somebody is in that place of when their position, like parenting. It's like paternalism or parentalism. When somebody's a parent, their authority sometimes blind them to the reality of, like, the children. People in authority a lot of times have that same blind spot. We say that now with politicians because they're rich. They don't have the ability to relate to the common person. That is a truism. That's something that happens. Like the preacher in a pulpit doesn't often understand what it's like for the laity. BRB? All right, cool. And that's something to pay attention to. He believes his logic is universal.
Nigga.
Oh, Dr. B. Yeah, okay, got you. That was BRB. Okay, I had to read that again. BRB. Okay. All right, that makes sense. That's funny.
Who the fuck is us, cuz?
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, that's funny. So he believes his logic is universal, but the people that are critiquing him is not. But standpoint theory, the idea that his social position as a white man creates a blind spot. His everyday privilege isn't just a benefit, it's a barrier to understanding reality. He claims there is no racism simply because he doesn't feel it. And she argues that his inability to feel micro and macro racism, and forget about feeling it, just being able to observe it, that's exactly why he is unqualified to dismiss it. He's mistaking his own numbness for objective truth. Oh, your dad was in the military? That's what's up. So how can someone tell the difference between projection and the truth? It's really difficult because, see, the projection is a truth. It is 2 p.m. here, 2 p.m. Eastern time. And Yellow's in the central stand, so it's 1 p.m. central time for him. So Yellow has 1 p.m., I have 2 p.m. So here's the problem. This is why everybody's like, oh, relationships should be easy. Relationships shouldn't be that hard. This stuff is like psychology is complicated. Even understanding yourself, forget anybody else, forget kids, forget a spouse, forget a job. Just understanding yourself is difficult because I could be observing something. And like I said, the hammer and the nail, because I am somebody who, I'll use myself, I'm used to being abandoned. Like abandonment, I have abandonment issues and trust issues. So let's say when I see like you can't see it, but where my finger is pointing on my screen, there's a counter of how many people are watching the stream. So when I see that number drop dramatically, especially like if I'm the one speaking, I feel like people don't want to hear what I have to say. A feeling is in my body. That may not be the case. Sometimes StreamYard is not showing the accurate numbers because I've had more people commenting than it was showing me were in the stream. So I know StreamYard lies about this number. And you can't see it, but I'm pointing to it. I know StreamYard lies about this number, but still, when I see it drop, I get a feeling because of my history. So it is true that the numbers dropped, but I am projecting that they're abandoning me because it may not even be anybody leaving. So it's hard to tell the difference. So you have to have an ability to anchor yourself in reality. Can I actually count the people who left? Yes or no? I can't. So then I have to accept that I have the feeling. I know where the feeling comes from, and I have to proceed through the feeling. The feeling can't stop me. The feeling can't cause me to act out because I can't base it in reality. If there is a situation where you can base it in reality, then you look for the facts. Let's say we were in a room and everybody left, and then I could like a conference. I had a conference and half the people stormed out. Then maybe we could do a survey after the thing. What did you think of the survey? Why did you like an exit interview? And you can find out. You can ask people, what did you think? Why did you feel this way? Blah, blah, blah. You have to find facts to counter the feelings because the feelings are lying a lot of times. He went to make a difference and came back different. Yeah, man. That's crazy. But yeah, man, I appreciate that, man. Yeah, I feel that way, but like that's life. Life is going to set everybody up with a different set of hardships, mental and emotional hardships, physical hardships. Maybe you're short. Maybe you can't reach shelves. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody has different sets of hardships. But as far as the projection versus reality, you have to figure out how much are you putting onto it. That's the projection. I'm taking myself, my story, and applying it to reality. You'll see that a lot on panels. I know Yellow's dealt with this a lot. He was dealing with this. He was on this one panel, and a lady was talking about men, but she talked about it through she talked about it. It's funny. It applies to BRB in the background. She talked about it through the lens of her drug dealing father. So she looked at all men through the lens of her drug dealing father. So everything he was able to do, the type of man he was, she first of all ascribed positive because it was her father. She saw that as positive and then looked for men that followed that pattern, which is unhealthy because he's a drug dealing father. So that's not a healthy person. You know what I'm saying? So it's crazy. So that's the projection part. I take what I believe and think and feel and make that the rule for everybody. That's projection. The reality is you have to actually take a look at reality, what it is, count it up, ask other people, get other people's observations, compile that information. What did you think about this? What did you think about this? What did you see? What did you see? Then you compare it. Oh man, I'm the only one that saw it that way. Maybe I'm tripping. And then you have to think about it. You have to actually stop and think. Go ahead, jump in, Yellow. Yeah, man. I'm feeling good. I'm good today. You with us?
Yeah, man.
Cool.
Yeah, nah, you cooking, bro. We can keep rolling.
All right, cool. After the standpoint theory, man, the last thing from Inanna was, she said, posting this as a political argument cements that you have some internalized unpacking to do. And that was a psychological diagnosis too. She was, Gerald Dixon was trying to sanitize the accusations of racism by turning it into a political argument, an abstract debate that about definitions of like what racism is, who can say it. She exposed this as a coping mechanism, which it actually was. She suggests his obsession with debating semantics is actually evidence of internalized bias. He is fighting so hard externally because he is afraid to look internally. And you'll see that a lot of times people, instead of reflecting, they'll deflect. So they don't want to reflect. They don't want to see themselves. So
Man.
they'll look at you. So that's always a thing to pay attention to. If you say something about somebody else and they're like, but you do this, that's a deflection to keep them from reflecting. They don't want to think about themselves because it's uncomfortable. So reflection versus deflection. Always pay attention to that. Okay, so you're in London? 2105. Okay. I'm trying to think. What's that? 12, 8, 9, 9 o'clock. 9 o'clock p.m. So we're 7 hours. Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ. Man. But yeah. Man, we got Alonzo Hall, social media insurance bro. Good to see you. Good to see you. So basically, Inanna was saying that his political grandstanding is just a mask for his refusal to do the hard work of self-reflection, unpacking. Man, so we're going to get to the next one because where he responds to her. Bam! Now you see how big this is. This is a book.
Damn,
this is a book. Man. That's why I'm so glad she said what she said, because it triggered something. He was already bothered by the racism.
Damn. Okay.
This was crazy. All right. So we're going to go into this. When it applies to myself, yes, I do know what's in my heart. Remember, she said he needs to check out, he needs to look at what's on the inside. He got some unpacking. When it applies to myself, yes, I do. I know what's in my heart. And I know capitalize. I know any and all motivations in my actions. Miss Elmore's abuses righteous cries of racism. So there are righteous cries according to him, but hers weren't. To use as a cudgel to silence opposition of her views and or the views and climb of those she supports. While my statement is in general, it is directed primarily at her. So he is saying this criticism of racism is specifically pointed at her, which he said, saying racism invalidates your opinion. This is a fellow council person. So he's invalidating a whole nother council person who I am just going to presuppose is black. Simply because she used the word racism. He's assigned what he believes are her motivations. She's using racism to silence opposition. So now he's speaking for her intent. She's trying to silence opposition and silence opposition to those who oppose those that are in her group, the climb of those she supports. So he's already determined what her intent is. So in protecting himself against the intent of racism, he's going to assign dubious intent, nefarious intent, negative intent to her and the people around her. So he's doing what she did. That's hypocrisy, by the way. He's doing what she did. But she uses unwarranted cries of racism politically to get what she wants. Therefore, it seems very appropriate that I make this argument in a political forum. Your assumptions about me, due to the color of my skin, are out of line. Oh, man, come on, Yellow. You got to do that accent. Because that line begs that accent.
Hold on. Where you at?
Near the bottom left, it says your assumptions, capital your, Y-O-U-R. I just need that sentence in that English Elizabethan accent.
Hold on, get the whole thing. Therefore, it seems very appropriate that I make this argument in a political form. Your assumptions about me, due to my color of my skin, are out of line, as much as they are when the white people do it to black people.
Oh, shoot. Thank you. You know nothing, Jon Snow.
You know nothing. You know nothing, you vile human.
Of the life I've lived. And hold up.
Your assumptions. Hold on, I might as well just read the rest of it like that. Hello. You have no fucking belief. The life I lived, yet your assumptions draw you to conclude that there is a racist in them. That there is racism I need to in my own soul. If any of us have any internal racism or whatever color, as a white male, I have done more due diligence to build bridges with black folks than any white person I've known, born out of a sensitivity to my fellow man since early childhood. I have mined the depths to educate myself on the experience of black folks in America. I'm reading Malcolm X's autobiography to who? Tanisha
Ta-Nehisi Coates.
Ta-Nehisi's Coates. Burlington Coates.
Ta-Nehisi's Coates. Burlington Coates.
Ta-Nehisi Coates.
Yo,
Between the world
you're
and
killing
me.
me.
To deep conversations with people.
Oh, thought you had
Right.
traveled to London. My bad.
Not that London. The other London. Why they name it?
Yeah, the
London?
other London. Oh shoot. Go ahead, my bad. That's you continue.
Oh shit.
Let me see.
Between the right.
Ta-Nehisi's Coates. Yeah, let's go.
Ta-Nehisi Coates. That's it. Taneshi? Wait, what?
Ta-Nehisi.
Ta-Nehisi.
Ta-Nehisi. Yeah, Ta-Nehisi.
Wow. Okay, now I'm
He's actually a good writer. He actually did a run of Black Panther comics. He's probably
this feels like. What do you mean I'm racist? I've read stuff by black people.
Yeah, I have a black friend. Yeah,
I have black books. I read about black people.
yeah.
Deep
Oh, you told me your
conversations
sister watching? Oh man. Oh,
between both black and white on the scourge of racism in America. As well, I've done so much to get rid of any biases, familial or societal, that exists because of what happened and continues to happen to black people in America is wrong. Is that really something I need to assert?
oh shoot.
But you don't know anything about me and wouldn't know these things, assuming the worst of me without any knowledge of what I personally done to be an ally to my fellow Americans.
Oh God.
And children of gold. Simply because I am a Caucasian fellow. And I get the irony. It gets to the center of my point.
Yo, it is that accent fits so perfectly with the language he's using. He is using some.
Nigga, what is the center of your pipe? What is that? That this nigga is
PK. I think it's pronounced PK, but
this might as well be my PK Pandry.
it means
PK penalty kick.
To
Personal
excite
thing?
or arouse, especially by provocation, challenge, or rebuff.
Oh, he aroused by it. You having
Yeah, so it's like gets to the center of my reaction. Like this is why I'm so triggered.
Yeah, you hit his social, you hit his political G spot. That's what it was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she got him all. She got him all happy.
Yeah,
he got a political boner.
Man, I'm saying. And shout out more Derek, but I'm gonna say, man, we be wilding. This is definitely like you know what I'm saying, a little bit mature. So that she's 12, man, you know what I'm saying? You might want to walk her away from the screen. You know what I'm saying?
Right, grab some headphones, bro.
It might be, some words.
The wrestling content, we try to keep it a little. We try to keep it a little PG.
Oh, geez. That's some Victorian era English, man. That was crazy. But again, this is just from the lady who said you might have some unpacking to do, which anybody might have some unpacking to do. You see, this was her thing, And then he comes with all of this. Like that's a crazy response. And again, he's overdoing it. He's over verbose. He's over wordy. He's throwing too many words at this problem. So it's like, why do you feel this? What's that? Why is this? Why is this getting to your PK? Your however you pronounce it. I don't know. I ain't even gonna lie to you. I just believe I've heard it on V for Vendetta. Shout out to V for Vendetta, one of my favorite movies.
Exactly. That nigga sound like he V from V for Vendetta.
They used to call him TC Codes. Okay, now that makes sense.
On the scourge of racism.
This dude, but he cited. I've read Malcolm X. I've read Ta-Nehisi Coates. He said, I've done so to rid myself of any biases. Familial society. How do you rid yourself of any biases?
Right.
None.
Right. You lying.
Right. Because it's even biased to be anti-biased. I mean, because you're biased to realize that there could be a bias. That's a leaning.
That's a leaning. Yep.
Yeah.
You lean middle. Yep. You lean middle. Yep.
So it's weird that he's like, I got rid of. I've conquered it. I've healed. So like that's another thing to worry about people. When you hear people talk about they've healed, they've done the work, like it's finished, they're completed. Nah. Don't fall for that.
So, I've done the work. That's exactly what I'm about to get. We're not talking about that today.
So to the psychology angle, DARVO is the word of the day. Deny, attack. It's an acronym. Deny, attack, reverse victim, and offender. So you deny the claims, you attack the claimant, you reverse the victim and offender. So you, as being the supposed offender, you make yourself the victim. And the person who said that you victimize them, you turn them into the offender. That's what they call DARVO in psychology. He also wrapped it in. Go ahead.
Or, you know what I'm saying? You can make it simpler for people. You put your game down, flip it, and reverse it. It's your back down.
Yeah.
I mean, that's essentially what they do. Yeah. That's essentially what they do. You know what I'm saying? They put the game down, flip it, and reverse it. So
it's been some years since I watched Django Unchained for sure. But to the DARVO thing, and again, you don't need to remember these terms. You just need to know what it looks like. When you say somebody, okay, you've done something to me, and they all of a sudden you feel like you're the bad guy or you're being accused of something, there's some DARVO in there because most people get defensive, and then when they get defensive, they get on the attack. They start accusing you of stuff. Well, you did this and you did that, and understand that's a psychological thing. So the more you understand psychology, the more you can pick out some of this stuff and not respond so emotionally to it. You can counter the points.
Right. Because it's natural. It would be 100% natural to feel defensive about something somebody is saying about you. I think you said there earlier. Like him feeling defensive about it ain't really his issue, right?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I think it's more or less the fact that he's not addressing he's not addressing the thing that offended him, or you know what I'm saying, or made him feel some type of way about it. He just saying people shouldn't say it. When that's not the point. It's did you do it? That thing exists.
Right.
Racism won't exist even if you wasn't doing it. You know what I'm saying? You just got you got called out for very specific things, bro.
Yeah.
Very specific things. And that'd be the difference. Like if you getting called out for something very specific, my nigga, like okay. So to my point, and I use myself as an example, right? I used to get accused of cheating a lot. Right.
Oh.
Yeah. I used to get accused of cheating a lot.
Use a hoe. Oh, I'm sorry, my bad.
But my thing was this though. I'm sitting here and I'm going to give you proof why I'm not cheating. I can't. My deal ain't why are you assuming that I'm cheating? I'll deal with that later. Right now, the thing is that I have to give you because I need to find a way to understand why you're getting there. So let me do this first. Let me clear my name. Let me clear what I'm on first.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Then we can figure out why you think my voting pattern is racist. You know what I'm saying? Or we'll figure out why you think I'm cheating after I show you that I'm not. After I explain to you why I'm not.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Then
Clear
we'll
the
get
deck
to
first.
you. Right. Then we'll get to you.
Yep.
Because that's if I'm not doing shit. Now, if I'm doing something, I might bypass the trying to clear my name because my story probably ain't gonna match.
Wow.
I might fuck around and lie. I'm just saying, you know what I'm saying? That's a lot of reason why people don't actually deal with accountability, because it's really all accountability.
Yeah, that's what this is.
Because they know once they start talking about it, they actually gonna get around to the point to where they realize they were wrong. So they rather just get mad at the person that's kind of pointing out what they're doing instead of trying to figure out, okay, what's happening? What did I say? What did I do? You know what I'm saying? What happened? No, that wasn't that. It might have been took out of context and stuff like that. No, that wasn't that. But just to get, that's why it's like even if I got accused of cheating, I wouldn't be like, oh, well, you out the bam. No, why do you think I'm doing that? Okay, let's talk about it. Let's go over that.
That's
you know what I'm saying? Now, if I give you all the proof, if I give you, you know what I'm saying, the explanation, and I show you what it looked like and why it's that, and you don't believe it then,
yeah, it's on you.
Now it's on you. Yeah, now it's on you. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So if you put yourself in a position where you can, hey, this is why I did, this is why I voted for this stuff. This is why I voted this way. It ain't because I'm racist, because this was this. It might be out of context because I am a white man and I understand how they've landed on you. But that's not good for the betterment of everybody. Contrary to popular belief, I can't just vote for your interests. I got to vote for everybody's interest. I apologize that if every decision I make don't solely benefit you, but I hope I make decisions that do benefit you sometime. Instead, he was like, how are you going to call me racist?
I read Malcolm X.
I read Takeshi COAT.
I read Takeshi 6ix9ine.
I read Takeshi 6ix9ine. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. They said they call him TC Coates. I'm sorry, brother. I am. I'm sure you put out great content that I'm never gonna absorb.
Yeah. You got some good stuff.
But you inspired that white man, so there you go. At least he know who you is. If he using you as his black biography reference, then, you know what I'm saying? Do your thing, bro.
Yeah, for sure. Shout out to more Derek. I miss the hood because the new life is born. Nah, forget the hood. Do you think that takes practice? Because it is a natural response. It does take practice, and it's what I'm saying is not for that anybody should be perfect. That's the whole point. Because see, this guy said he did the work. What did he say? Hold up, let me pull that back up. What did he say exactly? I think it might have been the first one. I know what's in my heart, and I know my motivations and actions. That's asinine. That's crazy. That's crazy talk. Because how many of us have said, why did I do that? Or why was I thinking that? Or what was I even doing? Because you don't always know what's in your heart and all your motivations and your actions. Sometimes stuff sneaks up on you. Like, why did I don't even want that. Why did I get that? Why did I buy that? There's so many times that your impulses get ahead of your thoughts. That happens a lot. They say biologically, your feelings, your emotions travel, like signals travel faster through your brain than the thoughts do, which is why people are so quick to the reactionary, because your feelings are faster than your thoughts. But like you have to train yourself. Yeah, your factory settings are like that. So you have to train yourself to not be so quick to respond. And it doesn't matter where you go. Anybody that's talking about betterment of a human talks about delayed response.
Yeah.
The Bible, philosophy, psychology is taking a beat to think, breathe, think. Was that one song? Breathe, stop, shake, let it go.
Breathe,
It's like that.
shake, let it go.
Yeah,
Now we can't reference
yeah.
no Diddy song.
Oh, good point. Good point. But he also says something in here. What was it? I have done more due diligence, but there was something that it almost made it sound like he had just completed the work.
As well, I have done so to get rid of myself of any biases,
Yeah, he got rid of.
societal, that exists
Yeah.
because of what happens and continues to happen to Black people in America.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you have to continually guard yourself because you're always going to have emotions. So the moment so like this, here's the mistake. So let's say he got rid of certain biases and certain assumptions about Black people specifically. Like he really did that work. And this is why I say when I talk about I have all the isms and the hierarchies, because I was raised in the United States of America. So every type of programming has entered my brain. So somewhere in my brain is a racist joke about every race of people. Somewhere in my brain is a sexist joke about every gender, transgender, or sexuality. Somewhere in my brain, I've heard a criticism and an argument against everybody. I have a lot of negative thoughts about a lot of people that are not my own. They were given to me through media, through conversation, just through exposure. And if you live in America, and if he's read these books, he's picked up some of those. You can't help it. It's like secondhand knowledge. If he read Malcolm X, he would then understand things Malcolm X went through. So then he would know the type of things that Malcolm X was exposed to racially. If he read Ta-Nehisi Coates, he would understand the same thing. What are Black people's interpretations of their exposure to white society? You would have to then know those things. You would have to then, they would be in your brain. You can't then say, I've eliminated my biases. What you've done is picked up more. You've picked up more biases to counteract the biases you previously had. So you actually don't eliminate, you don't rid yourself of bias. You pick up more bias to offset the bias you previously held. Which is why I say I hate everybody equally. And it's probably not even equal. I'm just saying I have the internalized mechanisms of racism and sexism and every other religionism. I'm just making up words now. Anything that could be hated, I have internalized some idea about why I should hate it. Capitalism, I'm anti-capitalist. But I also understand why people are anti-socialist and anti-communist. I have all of those things that are negative. They're all in me. I can't rid myself of them. The thoughts just don't go away. I may not feel them all. But I know them all. I remember the racist jokes against Black people and other people that my 9th grade teacher told me. A white dude. We begged him to tell us racist jokes. They were hilarious. But it doesn't matter. Like all that stuff is in you. And people deny it. When people start denying the programming of the place that they live, they're lying to themselves, which means they have to lie to you because they had to first lie to themselves. So when he says, I rid myself, I cleansed my soul, I eradicated my biases. If you feel that way, you are a liar. And you'll hear people talk like that. I've done the work. I don't need this. I don't need that. I'm good. I'm fine. I'm straight. You can feel that way. But when you're in a system of society, that means other people's thoughts and feelings are being broadcast to you every single day. And if you're not actively counteracting those thoughts and feelings, you're absorbing some of them, maybe not all, but some of them. Why do you think people are doing these trends? They saw something, they heard something, and then they jumped on the trend. They're fighting back now against Oprah calling the what do they call that? The estrangement, the parental estrangement. I can't remember the word they use. The no contact, going no contact. It's a trend. It is a trend because people saw it, and all of our structures are breaking down. People aren't in the church. People are, men especially, they're saying loneliness epidemic. They're not going to school. They don't have friendships. They're not having marital relationships. They're not having kids. A lot of guys, less men are having kids. more people are disconnected. Less people are having, they were out of third places, they call it. We don't have third places. Women are on, what does it call it? I want to say SSRIs, but that's probably not the right word. But they're on antidepressants at a record pace. People are not having the types of relationships that they used to have, good or bad. They're just not having them. So when somebody says, hey, there's a trend of people cutting off their parents, it makes sense because we're cutting off everything. We're cutting off church, we're cutting off work, we're cutting off school, we're cutting off every single thing. But then when somebody says, well, people are cutting off parents, no, they're not. There's no trend there. You're making this up. People get defensive, and I don't know why all the time. That's the newest one that doesn't make any sense to me. Sorry, I went on a diatribe. That was part of my PK. I don't even know how to use that word properly in context, but he did at the end of his sentence. But when people are claiming that they've rid themselves of something, is deeply problematic because you can't. You can offset it, but once you know it, you can never put the toothpaste back in the tube. You can never unring the bell. You can never put the cat back in the bag. Those type of things. It's the same thing with thoughts. You'll always have the thoughts. Like a smoker is always a smoker. An addict is always an addict. Once you're a racist, you're always a racist. And you're taught to be racist when you're young. How do you unracist? You add more. You add the humanity of the other race. You don't take away. Because that means, like, that's when you say, I don't see color. That's stupid. You do see color. You have to, or you're blind. And even if you were literally blind, you could interact with people of different cultures and recognize that there's a difference. They would talk different. They would sound different. The words they choose, the phrases. So you have to be completely, I don't even know what to call it. You'd have to be mentally incapacitated to not recognize racial differences and cultural differences, ethnic differences, national differences. You're not dumb. You have to be.
You have to be fucking stupid.
This is a podcast, Derek. Sort of.
Right.
Sort of.
You're on TV. You'd have to be as stupid as what's the dude we talking about?
Gerald Dixon.
Yeah, you'd have to be as stupid as Gerald Dixon to not understand that, right? Yeah. Like you didn't do away with your biases, you just shifted them.
Yeah, you shifted them, and you added context. Black people are humans. Oh, look at what black people are going through. You added to it. You didn't take away. You didn't eliminate your biases. You just added another layer.
Yeah, you add another layer, right?
Yeah.
Or you might have did away with others and replaced them with new ones. You know what I'm saying? Because maybe you did feel a little way about being racist, and then you found out some stuff, and it changed your way of thinking. You just set up a new level of biases now.
Yeah, and that's okay. Like I don't want anybody to think like, well, a lot of people who like focus on positivity, it would sound bad to say that people don't get rid of their biases. It sounds negative, but it's the truth. If you still understand the mechanism behind it, your bias is still there, but you may have a new filter for it. Like I said, I've experienced enough harmful black people to not feel that my greatest threat is white supremacy. Now, it may be the macro threat, but it's not the immediate threat. I need to deal with my immediate threat before I deal with anything larger and abstract. But again, it's not that one bias left. I still understand white supremacy is a threat. It could cost me money. It could cost me opportunity. It could cost anything. There are certain places in my state I wouldn't want to drive through. I just know I wouldn't feel comfortable. I get pulled over. I don't know how it's going to end. So I still have that bias. But I also know I have problems in my own hood. I might not get out of my own hood. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I just added a bias to it to realize that this is not the only way it is. There's this too. Like that's and it does. You don't eliminate one when you pick up the other. You just balance them out. Okay, well, this may not weigh as much as this because now I know this. I thought this was the only thing, but now I see that there's both of these things. Which means if I thought there was only this and I found out there was this, there might be a third thing that pops up sometime. So maybe neither of these are as high as I think they are. There might be something else. So that's how like psychology should work when people are employing it. But he thinks he eradicated his biases by reading a couple of black people books. That's embarrassing in and of itself. I know black people because I read 2 books. Okay. Okay. Like, that's crazy. Oh, I got you. I got you. So like a call-in show. Yeah, we used to drop the link. We used to drop the link. We did. We did. Yeah. So I know what you're talking about though. I thought about some of that sometimes, man, but it's hard. I'm gonna tell you, podcasting it's hard, like mentally. You got to really be dedicated to it. You got to commit, and you got to be consistent. And that's one of my drawbacks is being consistent. So that's one of the things. Speaking of like knowing yourself, that's something you need to do. But going back to this long thing he went into real quick. Going back to this, I talked about Darvo, which he's practicing. Then there's the myth of total self-transparency. I know what's in my heart, and I know any and all motivations in my actions. Can y'all anybody in the chat say that they know any and every motivation for everything that they do? That even sounds daunting. That sounds crazy. Everything that might be motivating. Okay. So I wanted to stream this thing, right? Like all of them. It's like
I think
like this stream.
Yeah, I think all of them. I think the thing is that we're not willing to admit when some of those motivations was on some fuck shit.
I mean, that's true too.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think we know why we do most things, especially now, like as an adult. Mm-hmm. Like, we know why we do most things, but we like, nigga, you know why you got up and ate that bowl of ice cream at 3:00 in the morning? You know what I'm saying? That wasn't just no random ass act. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah. So I think most people know. They just don't. They don't know. They don't want to admit the context of it. They don't want to admit that they're a glutton. They don't want to admit that they're unhealthy eaters. They don't want to admit that they don't like people of a certain race or people of a certain gender or class making it to a certain place. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think it's more of that. I think it's that people just because him saying that he know all of that, he might know. He might know in his eyes, but it might not be coming through to him as he being on bullshit. He might think he doing the right thing.
I hear what you're saying. And let me counter that. Like even using your example, I don't think people are aware as they think they are. So like what we're aware of surface level. And we attribute it to things that seem very apparent. It's like you said, I know why I got up and ate that bowl of ice cream. So you'll say it's because I wanted a snack, or because I like ice cream, or because I was hungry. But you also have the counter programming know that eating after a certain time is unhealthy, that's too much sugar, that you already had a bowl earlier. So you already have counter programming that says you shouldn't do it. So then why did you really do it? What made you overcome the programming that says this is unhealthy, this is bad, my stomach's going to hurt, I didn't take lactate, and it's typically something emotional. What got you motivated to get up, go downstairs, go upstairs, go through the house, whatever your configuration is, to go get the ice cream? And typically it's sadness, loneliness, and most people aren't aware of that layer beneath. Most people don't know that. There's a whole show called Secret Eaters. People don't even know that they're eating as much as they are. People are eating food blindly and like not accounting for it because they're emotional. Emotions can blind our thought process. As much as we feel like one whole unit, our bodies, our minds, and our emotions are running concurrently, but they're not the same. And we're not aware. Like, so sometimes you're hungry because your body really wants something. Sometimes you're hungry because you've developed a mental habit of doing something at a certain time. And then sometimes you'll want something to fill an emotional void because eating is comforting and you're trying to comfort it. And to know which one of those three areas is driving your motivation at every time of the day, or which combination, it might be mental and emotional. It might be physical and emotional. It might be mental and physical. Like any combination of those could be working. It could be all three. So that's what I'm saying. When I say people can't know, that's what I mean. Because our processing is too complex and a lot of it is automated. A lot of it is not under our control. Our physical cravings are not under our control. We can't stop them or start them on a whim. We can't just say, get hungry now, and you're hungry. So the biological stuff, if you're having biological urges, you don't even know when those are coming or where they're coming from. That's why I said you can't know all of your motivations because you're not even creating all of your motivations in your mind. So like that's why I would counter even with the ice cream thing. That's how complex people are, and we don't give ourselves the credit. Like that we're more complicated than we even understand. Like doctors and scientists still don't understand how we completely work. We haven't even gotten us figured out scientifically, religiously. Nobody has figured us out completely. But then this guy's figured himself out. He's the one guy on the planet who's completely figured himself out. So that's why I would say
he did the work.
Yeah, he did the work. Like positive things are motivating, but some negative outcomes could be spontaneous, if that makes sense. But no one is fully aware. It's hard, and just think about this at all times. Like maybe there are certain things you're completely aware. Like I know why I did that. That was my trigger. That was my trauma. That was because of childhood. I secretly desired this, and I didn't want to say nothing. Or I really can't stand black people, so I voted no on everything that they brought that was black. It could be you might know on a certain level, but then why? Like a kid, you keep asking why. Why did you want to vote no on everything that was a black person? What did black people do to you? Did they ever do something to you? Then why did you want to vote against them? Well, then why that? Then why? And you keep asking why until you get down to the core. And most people don't do that. You like to act, but sometimes you don't like the outcome. Yep, I hear that because I couldn't lose weight because I always get mentally hurt and started eating, and that's what happened. So it's hard to know your motivations. Most people don't even know where discipline comes from, because this was a hard thing for me to swallow. I thought discipline was something that people turned like unlikable things into things that they liked. But then I talked to and heard from a lot of disciplined people, and they said they don't like the things that they do, just like I don't like them, but they feel like they have to be done. And that's where the discipline came from, doing the thing you don't want to do in spite of. And I thought it was some kind of like internal process where they've made themselves like it. And they're like, no, I don't like it. I don't want to go to the gym at 5 a.m. I don't want to do this stuff, but I feel like I have to. And that's how I feel like that was a revelation for me to realize that people do things that they don't like by choice. Not like they make money. Like, okay, you got to go to work, make money. That's cool. But I'm going to the gym. I don't even like going to the gym, but I'm going to go to the gym because I feel I have to, but you don't have to. But to them, that's where the discipline comes from doing the thing I don't want to do anyway. So the daily process, learning the weak points and doing the work every day. That's facts. How much time I got with you, Yellow, before you got to dip up out?
I'm finna say right now. Gotta go ahead
Okay.
and drop some.
All right, well, go ahead and get your last words in, man. Appreciate you.
You rapscallion.
Don't be playing my boy Gerald like that.
No, that's really that nigga should have wrote some Shakespeare or something.
Mm-hmm. It's crazy.
But nah, it's address the problem first. Then if they don't want to hear you, then you cuss their ass out like this. There's a time and place for this too. But you gotta cover your own ass. Make sure you in the clear. So yeah. But nah, man, this dope. I'll catch y'all later. I'm in the chat. I bees in the chat.
Yeah. And that's what started all this off, being in the chat. And shout out to the chat, man. Much love to the chat, man. Much love to the chat. I'm about to clip that. I bees in the chat. It's trap, but I'm gonna make a chat. So going back to this real quick. We went over the myth of self-transparency. Let me see. His claim of psychological omniscience is scientifically and psychologically impossible for a human being to know any and all motivations behind their actions. That is the very definition of the subconscious. It is below your awareness. So sub means below. Conscious is your awareness. You have motivations and things that are below your awareness. So you can't know. So by claiming he has zero blind spots, he is proving an honest point about his lack of self-reflection. He is asserting he is a perfect, rational actor to shut down any probe into his biases. If he knows everything, he cannot be questioned. So that's the thing to look out for when people are doing it. And again, you don't have to know the psychological terms. You just need to be able to notice the behavior that people are doing. They're perfectly rational. They'll probably call you emotional. They know everything that they're doing. You know nothing that you're doing. Like all or nothing. They're right. You're completely wrong. They're completely right. That's typically a problem. And again, this is all in one person's thought process. We've been going for 2 hours and this one person. If you string together this many psychological problems, that's when I started having like a bunch of red flags and alarm bells. Because this is too many. Like one of these is a common mistake. You're just having an emotional human moment. 12 of these? Come on, man. The weaponization of the victimhood narrative. He said Miss Elmore's abuses righteous claims of racism to use as a cudgel to silence opposition. She uses unwarranted cries of racism politically to get what she wants. Now, this is delegitimizing the claims. He reframes a constituent's grievance not as a cry for help, but as an act of aggression, a cudgel. By labeling the accusation as political, he dismisses the moral weight of the complaint. It allows him to treat the accuser as a combatant rather than a victim, which justifies his aggressive, long, wordy counterattack. Then he's got competitive allyship or moral exceptionalism. As a white male, I have done more due diligence to build bridges with Black folks than any white person I've known. Now, that's an amazing feat right there. This man is probably, I want to say 40-something to 50-something. He's done more work than any white person he's known. That's a bold claim. That's a bold claim. But that reveals a deep-seated need for superiority. He isn't just saying, I'm not racist. He's saying, I'm better at being not racist than anybody else ever in my life. It turns allyship into a competition that he has already won. And that comparative framing, more than any white person I've known, which is crazy. It suggests that his anti-racism is performative. It's about his status relative to other white people rather than his connection to Black people. It's just weird. Then there's the syllabus defense, his intellectualization. I have mined the depths to educate myself, from reading Malcolm X's autobiography to Ta-Nehisi Coates to deep conversations. He's confusing consumption with character. He lets Black authors like their badges to prove he's inoculated or he's safe from being racist. It is the equivalent of I have Black friends. He's name dropping. So he can't be biased because he knows these names. And I ain't even gonna lie. Reading Ta-Nehisi Coates, that's sort of impressive. Won't even lie. I won't even hold you. But it doesn't mean you're not biased. He fails to realize that reading a book is an intellectual act, while checking one's privilege is an emotional and behavioral discipline. And the reverse rate. Now, this was a big one. There was a lot going on in this one. The reverse racism pivot. Your assumptions about me due to the color of my skin are out of line. Assuming the worst of me simply because I am a white. I get the high irony. So he co-opts the language of oppression to defend his position of power. And it's a false equivalence. He is trying to neutralize the structural power dynamic by claiming that he is the true victim of her stereotyping. By focusing on his irritation at being judged for being white, he centers his own feelings over the issues being raised. He's seizing the moral high ground by playing the victim. Shout out to the victims. Then he says, while my statement is in general, it is directed primarily at her. That's an admission of bad faith. He sits in the seat of governance. This is somebody who has influence over rules and laws. But he's admitting that he's using his platform and his Facebook in a general philosophical argument about language and using racism as a cover to target a specific person, Mrs. Elmore. He says it is directed primarily at her. So he retroactively reveals that his intellectual manifesto was actually a subtweet. So this was a personal grievance masked as his moral philosophy. And then he's cured. I have done so to rid myself of any biases, familiar, societal. Now, I am curious what his familial, his family, I would love to know what his family biases are that he needed to mention those in governance conversation about race. So I'm thinking he has a racist family for that to come into his conversation. He speaks of bias removal in the past tense. Most anti-racist frameworks view the work as ongoing and lifelong. He views it as a medical procedure he has successfully completed. He claims to have rid himself of societal programming, essentially claiming he has transcended his culture. He's the best white person, but that explains his hostility. He believes he's cured, so any suggestion that he is acting in a biased way feels to him like a misdiagnosis rather than feedback. Then you got the intent versus this is somebody you need to watch out for. When you can layer this much psychological problem on one conversation, and this is just in chat, like, man, it's crazy. So the intent versus impact. He said it was born out of a sensitivity to my fellow man from early childhood, which is that's a really crazy good boy defense. I'm a good boy. So he's trying to leverage his childhood innocence and self-perceived sensitivity to shield his adult actions. He's demanding to be judged by his internal intentions, which only he can see, rather than his external impact, which his constituents can see. He is essentially arguing, I cannot be hurting you because I am a sensitive person. And then the parenthetical outrage. Is that really something I need to assert? Like, why would you even put that in there? This is feigned indignation. He's acting insulted that his goodness is even being questioned and not just assumed by the public. It reveals an expectation of deference. He believes his character should be self-evident and above scrutiny, and the very act of questioning it offends him, which gets to the center of my PK. It's a lot, man. He's layered so many psychological problems in this one post. That's why it's so long. It's crazy. So people like this are problematic, and my antenna went up. Like y'all saw before, I'm like, I think thou doth protest too much, but then he protested much more, which is crazy. He doubled down. And when people have double down syndrome, I always raise an eyebrow. Coach Blue, my mom's got to me to the point where I wanted to go to the gym and put my heart and soul to the gym. That's good, man. Get help, man. Get healthy. And by Mr. Hood, I mean cornflakes. Okay. You're a serial killer. Okay. To me, it sounds like he had this written already, which would even be weirder. It would be even weirder if he had that written down already. It would be crazy. But we are getting to the one I put on the front. The one I put on the front. Boom. Because when I read that last one, I was like, that's it. You be the sole person on this planet that knows what is in their hearts and any and all motivation. Because I thought that was a crazy statement. People largely move off emotions. They do things and then ask, why did I do that? Why would I do? What would I want that for? What did I do that for? That you are so stone confident in your inner world gives me pause. That kind of arrogant overconfidence is usually masking something dark. But no proof. I have no proof. It's just psychology. I'm saying psychology can help y'all. Y'all learn a little. Again, just a little bit. You can take an intro class if you really wanted to, but you ain't got to do that. You can just listen to some psychological stuff. Read some psychology today. Learn some of the way people move. You can watch them. You can see this stuff. Like, because he's got so much investment in being right and overconfident about being right in places where nobody can be that right. You have to watch out for those people. You have to watch out for those people. Do you think people who have double Down syndrome are unteachable? They are. I'm not going to say they're unreachable, but they're unteachable. Because if I say, hey, this is a problem, and then you double down and say, no, this is not a problem, that means they're closed off. They're closed off. You can't teach somebody who's closed off, but you may be able to reach them to get them to open up. But everybody would have to feel that out. What gets somebody to be receptive? I'll say with my nephew, what I used to be able to do to get him to open up when he would double down would be to say, I see that you're not receptive, and we can have a conversation at another time, because I don't want to keep talking and you're not receiving. If you're not open to hearing what I have to say or what I feel, I don't want to have the conversation and keep wasting my time, and it's just frustrating you because you're not hearing what I'm saying. But sometimes when he heard that, he'd be like, okay, well, let me actually try to hear what he's saying. So if there's something you can say or do that gets somebody into a receptive mode, then you can reach them. And then maybe you could teach them. But you got to reach them first. You can't teach somebody who's stuck in double down syndrome. If that's the pattern they're on, no, I'm not. That's not what it, if they're arguing every single point and never even hearing what you're saying or trying to understand your position, then no, you can't teach anybody like that. Like he wrote it before so he can defend himself after doing something bad. Now that'd be crazy, wouldn't it? That'd be crazy. That'd be sick. So that was my response to him. Like the people who hide behind overconfidence and arrogance, and you see that anybody that's been on panels, almost everybody that was super overconfident has some kind of dark secret. There's a lot of darkness in people, and they typically hide it behind confidence and arrogance. Which part? I don't even know which part you just heard. Oh, my bad. My bad. If you can tell me what part of it was, I might be able to repeat it. I don't know how fast I came in, so I'm not sure what I said. I need you to remind me. Need you to remind me. I'll wait a second to see if you could type in like something to give me a hit of like what I might have said. Like give me some of my verbiage so I can go back to that specific point. I said it quite a bit. I'm not sure which point you might be talking about. Let's give a moment for Derek. Well, I'm waiting for more Derek, man. Appreciate you. Back to the psychology. This is behavioral realism versus his narcissistic fantasy. Oh, if I'm arguing with somebody, okay. So like when I was talking to my nephew, because he would get double down syndrome. My nephew would get double down syndrome. Because he was sensitive to being mocked or made fun of or being talked down to. He was very sensitive to condescension. Anybody that knows me knows that my love language is sarcasm and condescension. So I say that I'm saying that facetiously. I'm saying that jokingly. That's not a love language. But when I am frustrated, I get sarcastic. When I'm frustrated, I can get condescending. That's just how I deal with my negative emotions. So he's sensitive to that. So sometimes when I was frustrated and he was frustrated, he would think, because that's part of my nature, that that's what I was doing. And sometimes I'd just be trying to explain something. But if you're explaining something to somebody, that means you think they don't understand, which is condescending. So even though I was right that he didn't understand what I was saying, the very fact that I felt my energy was, you don't know something, let me teach you, it triggered he's being intentionally condescending. So he would double down. He would get defensive. So I would have to interrupt that pattern. Like, okay, I see he thinks I'm coming with negative energy. He thinks I'm trying to attack him. He thinks I'm being sarcastic or whatever. So you have to interrupt that. As the person who catches yourself in an argument, like, okay, this is going nowhere. We're just going back and forth. This is going in a circle. You have to interrupt that pattern. So what I would do was say, I can see that you're not receptive to what I'm saying. I can see that you're not hearing me or I'm not being understood. We can talk about, I'd like to talk about this another time when you're more receptive or able to hear me, or I can explain it differently. So you have to interrupt the pattern, because what you'll do, you'll get stuck in a circle. You'll get stuck in a circle. There's no point if you're having a cyclical argument, like you keep going to the same point, you get back to the same point. You did this, but I didn't mean to. But you did this, but I didn't mean to. Interrupt it. You're not hearing me. I'm saying I didn't intend to do this to hurt you. I'm sorry that I did something that hurt you, but I want you to understand what my intention was. But if they're not receptive to what your intention is, they just want to be mad that you did it. You can't control that, but you can interrupt the pattern by stepping out. Like, listen, you're not hearing me. You're not receptive to what I'm saying. I understand. You're mad. You're hot. I'd be hot too. But I want to have this conversation when we're both cool and can listen to each other. When we both can reasonably talk and understand. That's a principle. Yeah, and sometimes keeping explaining stuff just makes it worse because they're thinking you're sunning them. They're thinking you're talking down to them. They're thinking you're condescending. You're just trying to explain yourself. But it does not feel any different to the person receiving it Your explanation, women will say, you're mansplaining. I'm just trying to express. But because people feel that there's a victimization of men towards women, then your communication then takes on a negative connotation. Even if you have good intent, the victim always requires a villain. So because I've ever been a villain, because I am sometimes mean-spiritedly condescending. I'm an instigator. I'm a troll. I know this about myself. I'm sarcastic. I'm condescending. I'm arrogant, which is why I can pick out arrogance, because I am arrogant. So because I have those negative traits, when I have a positive trait that's along the same line, when I'm explaining something negatively, the person that's hearing me is going to hear it the exact same way if I'm explaining something positively, because we've already gotten into an emotional moment. We've already gotten into a back and forth. So if I'm explaining it to be sarcastic, or if I'm explaining it so that you understand me, you're not going to feel a difference, because we've already entered our dynamic of going back and forth, and me being sarcastic and condescending and you having to defend yourself again. That's a dynamic. Once we enter that dynamic, that argument, it's going to be, we're locked in. So you got to break that cycle. You've got to disrupt that. That's the only way they're going to hear you. You have to find a way to reach them, and you're not going to reach them by the same thing that's causing the argument. So you can't argue your way out of an argument. You got into an argument arguing. You're not going to argue your way out too. You got to bail out. Hey, listen, I know we're at an impasse. We're not going anywhere. They're gonna want to get mad because they think that you're trying to get them mad. Because people assume when they hear something that hurts their feelings, they assume you meant to hurt their feelings every single time. You meant to do that. You meant to hurt me. You wanted to hurt me. You're attacking me. I might not have meant to. I just said you're going down the wrong way. Why would you say that? You think I don't know what I'm doing? I mean, but you're going down the wrong way. You may not know what you're doing. Oh, so now you're being funny. No, like you're literally going the wrong way. Like, okay, don't ask me. Ask somebody you care about. Are they going the wrong way? And then maybe they got somebody in their corner that's like a sycophant. Somebody that agrees with everything. Girl, you're not going the wrong way. I'll make up something. You're not going the wrong way. Your car just got turned around. It's something. I'm making up something just as an example, but it's a real thing. People deal with that. So you have to find a way to disrupt the pattern. Like it's all psychology. I promise you, it's all psychology. So with him, there would have had to been a way to reach him. You can't teach anybody that's doubling down. He's doubling down all through the comments. You can't teach him. You have to find some way to reach him. I don't know him enough to know how to reach him. So I was just admitting. So what I do is make concessions. Look, I got no proof. And what I say earlier, it's circumstantial at best. Like the stuff I'm seeing, I'm admitting. That's a concession. Sometimes you have to make concessions. What I'm seeing, it looks suspicious, but it's circumstantial at best. And this one, I got no proof. It's just my understanding of psychology. So I challenged the absurd claims of knowing his pure intentions. I did a reality checking. Like people move off emotion. They do things, and then that's why I do that. And then like saying that he's so confident in his inner world, that usually masks something dark. And that's a psychological dynamic. Overcompensation. Y'all probably heard that word, overcompensation. When people are absolutely certain of something this uncertain, it's rarely innocent. It's usually protection. They're hiding a vulnerability. So that darkness that I thought I was seeing was just a pattern of behavior. And I can see it through chat. A pattern of behavior. Overcompensation, deflection, not listening, really wordy. So like grandiosity, using all those really large words that really didn't make sense for a Facebook chat. All that stuff was a pattern of behavior. When you string together that many negative traits, like you're hiding something really big. So that's why I said it something dark, because it was over the top. All of his negative traits were combined, were just over the top for a Facebook chat section. This wasn't a relationship. This wasn't I caught you cheating. This wasn't like there was nothing really on the line except one person saying racism. But he went like balls to the wall. And it didn't make any sense. And when stuff doesn't make any sense, man, when stuff doesn't make any sense, there's typically a reason. They're hiding something. Man, you saved my life. Sometimes when I try to do that, my 19-year-old sister don't want to hear me, though. Yeah, and when you're arguing back and forth, they don't want to hear you. And why would they? Because you've already gotten into a heated argument. Why would somebody want to listen to you when you're both heated? So you got to find a way to disrupt it. And sometimes it may be like writing it out and giving it to them. It may be changing the way you talk, using I statements. When you do this, I feel hurt. When you do this, I feel uncared for. It may be changing the way you approach it. Because I promise you, when my nephew and I used, when he was young, I had to read books and learn. I had to learn psychological principles so that I could better manage his youth and not be harmful. Because I came from a harmful family. I didn't want to be hurtful and harmful. But you can't help hurting people. Just by the virtue of you living, you're going to do and say things that hurt somebody's feelings. Because you're going to impact them negatively, even if you have the best of intentions. You can help people and hurt their feelings. Because you think I'm a kid. You think I can't do it myself. You can hurt people's feelings by trying to help them, literally, no matter how old they are. The whole chivalry thing. You think I can't open my own door? People get offended when you try to do chivalrous things sometimes. I'm disabled. I can do it myself still. You ain't got to try to. People get offended even when you try to help them. So your intention doesn't matter. What impact did it have? You can explain your intent, and then they can explain why they took it negatively, and y'all can understand each other, and then y'all can move differently. So in order to grow from those patterns, it has to be acknowledged first. Absolutely. And he didn't acknowledge it. He didn't acknowledge it. I try to do it. She look at me like I'm her ex-boyfriend. Listen, that means y'all got a lot of heat. Y'all got a lot of anger. Yeah. So you might have to find a new approach. It might take a new approach. So after I said this, after I said all this, and I said I got no proof. It's just what I understand of psychology. Like, I want to be honest. I want to be clean. I want to be clear. I don't have any proof of what I'm saying, and I'm seeing some dark tendencies in this dude. I got no proof. But then he comes back with this. Is this no? He didn't come back with this. My bad. My bad. Hold up. That's it? Nope, that's not it. I'm missing one. Give me a second. So let me see. I am missing something. Oh my gosh, where is it? Hold up. All right, I might be missing one. Give me a second. Oh, because it's an important one. Bear with me, good people. Give me a second. I'm going to throw something on just to kill the time with all of y'all listening to me real quick. I'm going to play his song real quick.
Spending all my nights fighting on the white hope 411, thinking I could dazzle them before the day was done. I quoted Malcolm X like a shield to hide my nasty side. Sean called me out and said I lied, and then I said unpack. She said, Gerald, check your blind spot, please. But I said I'm cured, I have no bias. Said Gerald writes back. Any kind of fool could see you bought up the thesaurus just to trick us. Gerald writes back. You can blame society, but you came for my intellect. I wrote a manifesto to demand respect. Oh, but now the cops are knocking at the door, and I don't want to talk no more. I have no comment. My lawyer says I have no comment. Tell falls back. Where did the big words go? Any kind of fool could see. Got nothing to say to the judge. There was a silence where your ego used to be. Gerald falls back. You argued till 2 a.m. You won't argue about the felony. I guess that the swords couldn't save you. I am George,
I'm George.
good boy. My grandfather, no comment.
All right. I had to make the slide up real quick. My bad. I don't know why I didn't have this in there. I had everything with this, but this is his response to me specifically. So here we go. This was the last slide in our exchange. Rashawn, I'm confident because I know myself well. With no spouse or kids to take focus, I spent a lifetime focused on what makes myself tick and determined to rid myself of all the bullshit that hurt me and kept me from realizing my best self. A nervous breakdown 33 years ago and doing 6 years of therapy, as well as all the books and discussions on the topic I've had over 44 years, leads me to know what I know. This confidence is the result of all that hard internal work. Doesn't mean I'm perfect. Doesn't mean I'm unwilling to listen to a good, solid argument and open enough to allow someone to change my mind if their argument is meritorious enough. No, he wasn't open to hearing to the lady that said his voting record showed racism. He wasn't that open. But now he's back to his pathological solipsism. He's attempting to spin his isolation as a superpower. He argues that because he is disconnected from the primary relationships that ground most people, he has achieved a level of introspection that others cannot reach. It paints a picture of a man who has spent 44 years staring into a mirror, and he's mistaken his own reflection for that of the entire world. With no spouse or kids to take focus, I've spent a lifetime focused on what makes myself tick. And that is a devastating admission of an unchecked ego. Spouses and children usually act as reality checks. They force us to compromise, see other perspectives, and realize we aren't the center of the universe. So by framing their absence as an advantage, he kind of reveals that his relationships are distractions from his favorite subject, which is himself. It confirms that main character energy. He has had no one in his inner circle to challenge his narrative for decades. And then his certificate of sanity, a nervous breakdown 33 years ago and 6 years of therapy, leads me to know what I know. He views mental health as a degree he earned, not a garden that he's tending. He cites a breakdown 3 decades ago and a finite period of therapy, just 6 years, as proof that he is currently infallible. He's cured. Authentic therapy teaches humility and awareness that we are always a work in progress. Dixon, conversely, believes he graduated, like Tia Mowry, from therapy and is now a finished product. But again, he didn't say he was perfect, but he's got this under control. Then he said he's open enough to allow someone to change my mind if their argument is meritorious enough. Now, there's one person who I hate hearing this from. It's Anton Daniels. He says, I'm always open to the possibility that I'm wrong, but he's not. If you've ever watched him, if anybody ever challenges what he says, he disagrees and never gives ground. Everybody that I've ever heard say I'm open to the possibility of being wrong was lying. Because this guy had this entire thread when somebody says, hey, you're wrong, and your voting record shows that you're wrong. And another person came in and said, hey, you might be wrong. He's never been open to it once. What is a meritorious argument? They're never going to be open to it. It's a lie. It's them posturing like they're a good human being. They're good and decent. I'll listen to everybody. I'm willing to be swayed by a good argument, but you won't sell anybody what a good argument is. Because when somebody brought in your voting record, which is something that you could verify, you didn't care. When somebody said it was racism, you didn't care. When somebody said that your privilege might be blinding you to the facts, you didn't care. When somebody said that you might be arguing and defending yourself too vociferously, to use a big word, too strongly, you might be going at this too much, he didn't care. What is he open to? What is meritorious? Do we have to speak like he does? I mean, because I can throw some big words out there, like vociferous. Vociferous. Word of the day. Okay, last thing. I rid myself of all that bullshit that hurt me. He's weaponizing his past trauma to shield his present power. By invoking his nervous breakdown and hurt, he is implicitly saying, I have suffered enough. Therefore, you cannot criticize me. He's using his history of victimhood to immunize himself against accountability for his current behavior as a leader. So, where does that lead us to? That leads us to this last week. And this was a very recent post from him. Thank y'all for staying with me. Oh, this ain't it. This is it. Dear constituents, friends, and supporters, as you currently know, this has been a difficult week. Pause this. It's been a difficult week. I am jarred by the events and charges against me. I have many thoughts on it all, but it is in the hands of the justice system, and so must be played out. Thus, on the charges themselves, I will have no comment at this time. Know, though, that I will endeavor to defend myself as best I'm able. I also have thoughts on the way in which all of this has been handled, but we'll share that at a later date. I remind everyone that I am a human being who has always tried very hard to be good and better, a good and better person. My grandfather and mother, among others, guide me in that. While like you and everyone else, I may fail. The truest measure of anyone is that they keep trying to do and be better, as it has been, is, and will always be with me. Even though he's eradicated his bias, so he can't get any better than eradicating his bias. But do you notice when they talk about these charges that he never says he didn't do it? Do you notice that the language here is a lot less 18th century? You don't have any of those grandiose words when these charges came out. And you want to know what charges? I'm about to show you. Let's go, Gerald. Gerald's back. Let's go.
From NBC4.
Happening now, rally is getting underway outside Whitehall City Hall, demanding the immediate resignation of a city council member who is charged with sex crimes involving children. A warning now, in just a moment, we're going to share parts of a letter that details some of the allegations that councilman is facing. They are contained in a letter from the city's police chief to the mayor. And some viewers, especially if children are in the room, might find it disturbing.
Now, this is a copy of that letter. I received it today. It says, in part, federal and state investigators removed thousands of pieces of evidence from Dixon's home, including his personal journals. Chief Mike Crispin says One journal noted Gerald Dixon's, quote, longstanding struggle with sexual attraction toward pubescent boys. He also pointed to an entry that is believed to have been written when Dixon was 32 years old. Crispin says it describes Dixon's desire for a 12-year-old boy. Another entry, according to the chief's letter, goes on to say Dixon spent time in city parks watching 15-year-old boys, describing their appearance, particularly when their clothing was wet. Now, police say their investigation dates back to 1996, with victims as young as 14 years old. Dixon has served on Whitehall City Council since 2021, reelected in November, and was sworn in again last night. Mayor Michael Bivens is blasting City Council for not calling for Dixon's removal.
As it relates to that, it is
my bad.
reprehensible, and it's a violation of public trust.
I spoke with Whitehall Mayor Michael Bivens Wednesday afternoon. We met in City Council chambers, where the night before, Gerald Dixon was sworn in after being released from jail. He faces felony charges of gross sexual imposition and compelling prostitution.
I called for his resignation unequivocally yesterday. It's confusing. It undermines public trust. It undermines the credibility and the responsibility for public safety that we have as government officials.
We learned today Whitehall Police Chief Mike Crispin sent a 3-page letter to the mayor detailing concerns brought forward from a citizen regarding her apprehension for the safety of her children. The chief called the concerns valid, saying it is likely adjustments will be required to certain events, functions, and community engagements to address potential issues raised by parents. All of this in regards to Dixon remaining in his council seat and likely engaging with the public and younger audiences.
It says that City Council is not placing the priority of our children first. And that should be the main concern of every elected officer in this city.
I asked the mayor to respond to people who say Dixon should remain in his position while due process runs its course.
Due process is a matter of criminal law. I'm not talking about due process in a criminal context. I'm talking about administrative, which is a lower standard of proof. As it relates to the allegations and the facts right now, there should be a response from this council as it relates to this matter.
I do want to mention my call and messages to City Council President Thomas Potter today were not returned. Councilman Dixon posted a message to social media today calling this a difficult week. He says he is jarred by the events and charges against him and says the case will play out in the justice system. He added that at a later date, he will share his thoughts on the way in which all of this has been handled. His full statement and the chief's letter are available on NBC4i.com.
Thanks for watching.
Yeah, so there's our dear Gerald. Man, my bad. I went off camera so y'all had to see it, but I forgot to mute up so y'all had to hear. My bad. I had to get that out of there. My bad. That's not pretty. It's not pretty, but neither is that case. So, soliciting underage minors and grooming them to prostitution. So, listen, this is what I'm saying. This guy who responds like this to claims of racism, who does all this grandstanding, but then when it comes to claims against of child sexual harm, this is his tepid claim. All the big words drop off. That's a tell, man. He switch up. That's not him. See, all this is performance. This is him performing. All those big words, all those long hyperverbal defenses, all that's cute when it's racism. Then all that dies when it gets real. All those big words are gone. All of them. All those claims I would never. Racism is why would you make that claim? That's crazy. I've done the work. I read Ta-Nehisi Coates. I would never. I could never. I did the work. I rid myself of biases. Blah, blah. Guys, it's been a tough week. Whew, boy, I'm jarred. Whew. I have no comment at this time. I remind everyone that I am a human being who has always tried very hard to be good and better person. La, la, la. Well, see you soon. Yeah. Not him grooming them. That's not okay. Yeah, exactly. And see, this is what I'm saying about psychology. W, if you think John Cena is going to overcome skin cancer, he's got skin cancer? I don't know about that. But listen, to Gerald Dixon's thing, And this is what I want to tell anybody about any person. When you see this much, all those red flags I pointed out, all those psychological terms, when you see these type of things coming up in people in all the conversations and they're stringing them together, one or two is normal. You're going to get some negative tendencies out of a person. But this is just in a text exchange. In one text exchange, I was able to create a 3-hour stream, just a 2.5-hour stream of all of the psychological problems that manifested. The narcissism, solipsism. I can't remember that one, but it was like, let me go back to my notes. Hold up. What was that one? Darvo, behavioral realism, bad faith, the reverse racism, the competitive allyship, weaponization of victimhood, the total self-transparency, the privilege, the blinder, the standpoint theory. Standpoint theory, that's a word. The standpoint theory. There's so many different things that came up in one chat conversation. That's a red flag. People that manifest multiple layers of negative behaviors, you have to watch out for them, even if you just see it in chat, because they're revealing aspects of themselves. When you're seeing people with these long, wordy, defensive responses to something that doesn't even require a defense, because you can simply say, I voted no because I thought this. But instead, he's attacking everything else. He's attacking the person that said racism. He's attacking anybody that uses racism. He's attacking anybody in the chat that questions what his motivations are. He's attacking anybody that says, I don't think you know yourself. He's attacking everybody. Well, there it is. He's attacking everything but the initial claim of why I voted no. Because he can't answer that. Because it probably is based in racism, or he would have just addressed it. It would have been so simple to just say, I voted no because blah, blah, blah. And you have to watch out for people like this. Because it doesn't have to be child harm. It could be physical abuse. It could be verbal abuse. It could be theft. They're hiding something because they have to mask themselves with all kinds of psychological, like force fields, psychological defenses that protect their lies and their inner self. When people are protecting something this hard, this heavy, that doesn't need to be protected on your side. You say there's no reason to protect yourself. Somebody says you voted no, and just say why you voted no. It should be simple. But he's made it difficult. And that was a tell for me that he's hiding something. And because he kept fighting harder and harder to protect this thing about racism, what she already said was invalid. Why are you going so hard? You're hiding something. And I was able to peep it. And there he goes. He does have something dark. He's been struggling. That breakdown 33 years ago was probably him dealing with this sexuality. They said, what, 1996? He said he had a breakdown 33 years ago. What's 1996? 1996 was exactly 29 years ago. So he had a breakdown right before they say he started trying to imposition children. So yeah, man. So he had a nervous breakdown 33 years ago. Then in 1996, he starts breaking down and soliciting children, trying to groom them. Like, you have to watch out for these people. When you're seeing people exhibit high-level negative psychological traits and tendencies, pay attention. It doesn't mean that there's always something super negative there like this guy, but I guarantee you there's something. They're not trustworthy. And we overlook these tendencies way too many times. We see these people on panels and running channels, and they're famous or they're popular, or we like them, or they're handsome, or they're pretty, or they got money, and we overlook these tendencies. When somebody's constantly falling out with somebody on their channel, a co-host, somebody in their chat, arguing with people in their chat and cussing them out, those are tendencies that you need to watch. These are problem people. Don't trust them. Don't trust them with your money, your time, or your family. Don't make them a mentor of your son or your daughter. Don't do that. You have to watch for these tendencies. They are problematic, and they're going to manifest in some kind of way. It may not be in a way that's going to harm you specifically, but you have to be careful. These are psychological principles that you can see without knowing the big crazy words. You don't know how. You don't need to know Darvo. You don't need to know standpoint theory. Everybody in the chat was able to see what I saw just from the words he chose, how he chose to posture himself. And you didn't need to know any language for that. You didn't need to take a psychology class for that. You can see that's kind of weird. Why would he say that? That's kind of strange. Why did he write so much about that? Why did he never answer the question about why did he say no to the application? Why did he deny the application? We still don't know why he denied the application. All this, and we still don't know why he denied the application. And that's what happens a lot of time. We get like, I mean, air quotes. I guess I could take this down. We get gaslit. Like now, we still don't know why he denied the application that put all this into motion. And I ain't trying to be funny. Because of the way we don't know that somebody didn't start digging into it. Like you start making enemies, people start digging into your background. Little private investigator, little digging, checking your Facebook page, your old tweets. Then you send something to the cops, FBI, and then he's getting investigated. You got to be careful because people are visible. You're visible, you're not invisible. You may not be transparent, but you can be seen. And you can be seen through because you have tails, psychological tails that let people know what kind of time you're on. It's visible. It's if you pay attention. And that's what's important. And I want people to understand that. Because I was able to see that he had some dark tendencies just from that exchange in chat. That one day, 8 weeks ago, I was able to see he had dark tendencies. Not like bad characteristics. I said dark. Like you got some like dark triad traits. Narcissism, Machiavellianism, sociopathy. Like that's crazy. So if I can see that from a few back and forth exchanges, we've got to be able to learn and see this in person. The people in our family, the people in our neighborhood, you've got to see when they have some of these dark traits. And again, a lot of people have some negative traits, a little selfishness, a habitual line stepping, a little lying. Nah, that's not what I was seeing. This dude was masking up so heavy, and it was crazy. But let me scroll down. I went up too far in my notes. All right, man. So talked about that. Talked about that. Talked about that. Cool. All right, so listen. So Gerald Dixon, city councilman. You saw how wordy he was, how vehemently he took those claims of racism. You saw how much he wrote in response to those claims of racism. How much care and wordplay, wordcraft he put into it when it was racism. But when it's child sexual predation, got no comment. All the words shrunk by about 3 to 4 syllables. We saw the defense mechanisms drop. He offered no, I'm human. I try to do better. All the stuff he was doing, it all died. All of his facade came cracking down when them cuffs went on. The facade came down. The asymmetry of his defensiveness is telling that one of them is not true. Either the soft, passive, meek, and mild version after the charges came, either that's the real him, or the hyperverbal, grand word wizard. I was being stupid. The wordsmith, or that's the real him. But it's unlikely somebody's personality is going to shift that much when they're defending. So they're exhibiting the same behavior. They have to defend themselves. I don't know. If he's found guilty, because he hasn't gone to court, they just arrested him the other day. He was released on his own recognizance. So he has to have his day in court. If he's found guilty, he's going away for a long time. He might spend a lesser. If he has, because there was one. I might pull this. Let me pull up this other video real quick, because there was another one. Let's see if this is the weird one, because he had this weird poster. Nope, that's not it. Because there was one other one I want to show y'all. Let me see if I can find it. He had this weird poster, and they showed it on the news, and he said it was him and his friends. It was weird. It's not that one either. Hold up. I hope I kept it. Because it was just weird. Because if it's not true, it's super weird. Super sus. Come on, come on. I don't see it in any of these. But he had some kind of poster board that they showed. And it was all kids. And he had said that it was him and his friends. Hold up. Oh, yeah, here we go. Found it. Found it. All right, we'll do the first 2 minutes of this news report. Then we'll get ready to get out of here. Hold up. Boom. Let's go.
Judge Paley releasing Dixon from jail, ordering him to have no contact with minors as she lacked additional information in his case. This comes as the prosecutor's office was waiting on key information from Whitehall PD that could have kept Dixon in jail. But Whitehall tells us they provided the courts with more than enough information, and they're shocked he's out of jail.
I can't just let it go. I mean, they're really serious charges.
A day after Gerald Dixon's shocking release, the prosecutor's office tells me they only received criminal complaints against him to present to the judge.
Based on the charges that were presented to the prosecutor's office and to the judge, I think there was more than enough information to be able to hold him in jail until he's indicted.
The prosecutor's office still does not have the probable cause affidavit summary. It's a sworn police statement summarizing the facts of the case. Muni Court tells me all the information is listed within that initial complaint. Whitehall Police insists there was enough information before the arraignment.
From what I understand, they had the necessary information that they needed to make an appropriate bond.
Prosecutors calling Whitehall PD needing more, provided with the ages of the victim at the time of the alleged offenses. A grand jury will decide if there's enough evidence for felony charges.
Because the people elected me and there is not some sort of verdict, so here I am.
But Dixon says he's ready for his second term. When asked about the allegations, specifically this poster board used as evidence with images of young men and vulgar words, he said those photos are of himself, his friends, and people who volunteered to put his art piece together.
Oh, I'm appalled by that. It's artwork, but it has nothing to do with little kids.
Dixon continues to stand by his innocence.
It's artwork, but it has nothing to do with little kids. Are we seeing little kids? Oh, I think I'm seeing little kids.
Specifically, this poster board used as evidence with images of young men and vulgar words.
Okay, so they covered up the vulgar words. Okay. I'm assuming the one in the right side with the F at the beginning and the T at the back. I'm assuming I know what that word is. That's interesting.
Said those photos are of himself, his friends.
What up, Watts? The moment you hear a liar tell a bad lie, come on, man. Come on.
And people who volunteered to put his art piece together.
No, I am appalled by that. It's artwork, but it has nothing to do with little kids.
Did he not know that we saw it? Did he not know that they saw the artwork? What do you mean it has nothing to do with little kids? And why would you have a little kid with the word agate and big red print over top? Like, what kind of artwork is that? I don't know. That's tough. That's tough.
Dixon continues to stand by his innocence. He was not privy to speaking with the media about the ongoing allegations Wednesday. ABC6 learned council members could make a motion to remove him from council, but it's a process that requires evidence of gross misconduct and a unanimous vote. On your side in Whitehall, Aaron Simonek.
Let's go. So yeah, man. So that's what I'm saying. Watch out. Watch out. Pay attention for those traits. Pay attention for those traits we pointed out. Like I said, any one trait could just be a negative trait. Any one trait could just be a negative trait. But when you can put forth, when somebody, just from what you're saying in chat, can put a 2-hour stream together about like the really dark traits that you're manifesting with psychological terms, that's problematic. Like there's signs of a problem. And come to find out, yeah, them people came looking for him. And he got arrested because he did have some darkness. Like I said, I see some darkness there, old boy. What was it? This one? No, wasn't that one. It was this one. The kind of arrogant overconfidence is usually masking something dark. No proof, But them cops got it. Psychology, man, I'm trying to tell you, psychology can help you peep problems. This dude was a problem. And again, I just had a short interaction with him one day in Facebook chat and could see that he had some severe problems going on, the way he was masking, the way he was performing and presenting himself as an arbiter of all things right, virtuous, and pure. Like that was insane. I wouldn't have thought it was that. Honestly, I would have never thought it was kids. I would have never thought it was kids. But people that seek power, I don't trust them anyway. So you got to guard your grill from those type of people. They're in your families. They're on these panels. They have large channels, platforms. They're in pulpits. They're teachers. They're preachers. They're lawyers. They're everybody. They're anybody. They're everywhere. You have to look for the signs of the people that cannot take criticism ever. The most vocal defenders usually have the most to cover up and distract from. They don't want you to look too close. So they make a lot of noise to scare you off. So watch the volume. A hit dog hollers, but a wolf will stay silent. This guy wrote a novel. Y'all saw how, hold up. This guy wrote a novel to defend his ego against claims of racism. But when it came to child sexual predation, he got quiet. He got really soft in his stance. And that's a tell. No words to defend his freedom. None. So when the performance stops, because the handcuffs come out, the smartest man in the world suddenly has nothing to say. So don't let all the noise distract you from the silence. Never forget, the resume people build is often camouflage. He listed every book he read, every black friend he spoke to, not to show his growth, but to build his hideaway. He used allyship as a costume to gain access and trust. The more perfect they claim to be, the darker the shadow is. Don't listen to their words. Watch what they do, especially when nobody's watching. And the chat is a place where people think nobody's watching. So when the cameras are rolling, it's a little more easy to be on code. But down in them comments, man, bees in the chat, man, a lot gets revealed. Unaware, subconsciously, who people are, who they think they are, who people want to make you out to be. It's all information, and you can learn to use it. In the end, his thesaurus with all those words could not save him. You can use all the $10, $30, $50, $80 words in the world to build a wall around your ego, but the facts are tearing it down. Now they got a case file on him. He spent 44 years convincing himself he was a good man, just so he wouldn't have to face the monster in the mirror. Don't let them drag you into their delusion. Spot the red flags. Trust your gut. When people are giving you all them red flags, when there's a string of red flags, man, trust your gut and stay vigilant. So before I get out of here, I wouldn't have thought prostitution. I thought it would have been corruption. And the reason I say that is typically the thing that people are fighting against is a thing they're fighting in themselves in some kind of way. Like it might be something in their history. Like people who are victims of sexual assault typically become advocates for protection for women or more police on campus or something like that. So I thought it would have been related. So when he ran on transparency from corruption. Mayor Kim Maggart, because I lived in the area, Mayor Kim Maggart, they were doing some really suspicious stuff with developers. There was a lot of development coming in, a lot of money coming in, and they were doing stuff shady. Like one time, I promise you, this is what really blew me. They wanted to rezone this property so that they could put up an apartment building. It was on the ballot for the citizens to vote on. The day before we went to vote, the night before, they pulled it off the ballot, which meant when we voted on it, because they couldn't take it off the paper ballots. It would still be in the computers. It would still be on the paper ballot. So every citizen, we all would have thought that we were voting on this thing, and our vote would have mattered, but they had taken it off. So back at the Board of Elections, none of our votes counted on this thing that we all saw and pressed buttons for. They voted through City Council an emergency measure to rezone the place so they could do it without the will of the people, because we were all against it, because it was a corner that didn't make sense to put an apartment building when the traffic was already bad over there. So they did what they wanted to do. That's what set him off. So he started like, no, there's a lot of corruption in City Hall. We need somebody over there that's a watchdog. So he ran on transparency, anti-corruption. I voted for this dude. So I thought if he did something, this is like 8 weeks ago. I voted for him like 4, 5, 6 years. It's been a minute. But when we had this exchange in chat, I assumed the transparency and the watchdog for corruption meant that that's what he would be into. I thought that he would be hiding some corruption of his own. Well, they're doing it, so let me get in there and say I'm anti it, but let me do the same thing. Let me get me a piece. Let me get me a slice. So that's what I would assume. I would have never thought kids. I don't jump to kids. I'm never going to jump to kids. Like that's because I don't understand that. I don't understand how dudes. I don't understand that. I get stealing money, like guilty. I get being greedy with money. I'll never understand the kids. This reminds me of a wolf analogy. Like a wolf will lick its own blood on a knife until the wolf dies. Yeah, I've heard that. Don't know if it's true, but it's crazy. Yep. So before I go, y'all, man, I appreciate y'all. More Derek. We'll be doing Shooter from the Script. We'll be doing the wrestling podcast sometime in the middle of next week. I'll make sure we do some more John Cena, because we're going to talk about what happened at Saturday Night's Main Event tomorrow. So there'll be some more John Cena. I'll make sure we have John Cena's song or something. We'll shout you out. So next week, Tuesday, Wednesday, whenever Yellow's off, we'll do another wrestling podcast, and I'll make sure we get more John Cena in for you. So, man, appreciate you. Appreciate all of y'all. Keep your head on a swivel. Stay frosty. And think responsibly. Peace.
That's tomorrow. And that is it for us today. Okay, I don't know. Whatever it is, it's not right on the teleprompter. I don't know what that is. I've never seen that.
No, there it is. We are going to do Sting, yeah.
Okay, but... Okay. Now, I can't read it. There's no words on it.
Okay. Ready? Sure.
There's no words there. To play us out. What does that mean? To play us out?
Sting is going to do, it's a video, Sting video.
What is...
For credits.
I don't know what that means, to play us out. What does that mean? To end the show?
Yeah.
All right, go.
In 5, 4, 3.
That's tomorrow, and that is it.
Again, 5, 4, 3.
That's tomorrow, and that is it for us today. And we will leave you with a... I can't do it. Okay. We'll do it live.
Okay. No.
We'll do it live. Fuck it. Do it live. I'll write it, and we'll do it live. Fucking thing sucks.
In 5, 4, 3.
That's tomorrow, and that is it for us today. I'm Bill O'Reilly. Thanks again for watching. We'll leave you with Sting and a cut off his new album. Take it away.